finished it off with a beautiful stroke, a punishing shot away, just tucked it behind square leg. So the 50 up for Gatting, and what a fine knock that's been from the skipper. 1 for 116. In comes Hughes again, bowls to him, and he's out, bowled in. Well, a great breakthrough by Merv Hughes, and Gatting going forward. That ball, I think, coming between bat and pad, it's cleaned him up anyhow. So Gatting is out, bowled by Hughes for 61, and England lose their second wicket for 116. England 2 for 116. Last batsman out is Gatting, bowled by Hughes for 61. Athey remains not out, 36. There are 11 sundries. England 2 for 116. In comes Reid again, bowls to Athey, and Athey edges wide of third, slipped down to the boundary for 4. 2 for 149, and a very warm round of applause from a big crowd here at the Gabba. Crowd of about 12,000, a good first day crowd, applauding that half century by Bill Athey, who's now on 53.
And of course, Lamb has played very well for his 40.
And he's going to face the first ball, which is going to be bowled by Mervyn Hughes. He runs in, bowls to Lamb, and Lamb.
Auburn Middlemass here. This summer is all about the Ashes. To stay across every angle, join me and Ed Cowan on ABC Cricket Podcast, Monday and Friday, and after every day of play. Search for ABC Cricket Podcast on the ABC Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of cricket.
Hello, it's time to step back into the ABC Sport archive now and the 1986-87 Ashes series and the second test from the WACA ground, a high-scoring match that featured 4 different centuries.
Now let's watch Lawson as he starts new over from the river end. He goes in and bowls to Athey down the leg side. He just chips it out through square leg. It'll race down towards the boundary, and I think Reid will do a very good job to pull it up, which he does, sliding into the fence, and I think he's taken the ball with him. So 4 runs, and it's bad enough to, on a very warm day here in Perth, to be bowling from that members end, but he must have had to run 70 or 80 yards then to try and cut that off. So well done, Bruce Reid, even though the result was ultimately 4. He certainly showed a great deal of willing there. Puts the 50 on the board for England. Broad on 29, Athey on 12, 10 sundries. England now no wicket for 51.
As Matthews pitches up, driven by Athey through the vacant mid-off position for some runs here. Greg Matthews chases from cover. The ball coming towards the boundary, but Matthews picks it up just 2 or 3 metres inside as Athey turns and comes back for the third. But that brings up England's 100. 100 on the board for England in the 37th over. Athey getting an over-pitch delivery, which he stroked down through the vacant mid-off position. Lawson this time around the wicket. Oh, he's dropped broad. He plays the ball on the rise, back down the pitch. I feel it carried to Lawson. He got his fingers to it on the pitch, yes, and the reaction of Jeff Marsh, who comes in and gives Lawson a consoling pat on the behind. Broad has a life at 50. Here's Reid. Bowles pitches up. Athey drives straight. Good stroke. Beats the bowler and just misses the stumps at this end. A chase for Marsh from mid-off down towards the side screen below us. He'll just overhaul the ball. They come back for 3, and there's Athey's 50. And both England openers bringing up their half centuries with shots straight back down the ground. Broads was off the back foot. That one from Athey was over-pitched. He drove it firmly, just beat the bowler and the stumps at this river end. And that's 3 more to Athey. He is 50, Broad 77. And England no wicket for 143 at the end of the 53rd over.
In goes Lawson again, bowling to Athey. It's with Athey now, and Athey plays the shot behind square leg. In fact, that could race away for 4. He timed it a lot better than I'd thought. He didn't quite get into position, but he jammed the ball straight into the ground. That's rocketed away behind square leg for 4, and that's a record opening partnership for England, or for any visiting team here at the WACA ground, eclipsing the 171 scored in 1970-71 by Jeff Boycott and Brian Luckhurst. And we now see Broad and Athey putting on 175 for the first wicket. Broad 91, Athey 63, 17 sundries. England none for 175.
Greg Matthews around the wicket to the left-hander. Broad on 98. He drives off his toes. There's his 100. He's got 1. He'll come back for 2. The ball going out in front of square leg. Reid does the fielding. Chris Broad gets his maiden test century here at the WACA ground in Perth. Removes his helmet, gets a standing ovation from his teammates in the pavilion, and a generous round of applause from the big crowd here at the WACA ground. The Australians, and now Bill Athey comes down to shake him by the hand. Well played, Chris Broad. Here's 100, Athey 75, and England no wicket for 192. War bowls, wide of the off stump, hammered away, and it beats the fieldsman at point, Marsh, and that's going out to the boundary at point for 4. Fine stroke by Athey. We saw a similar shot in the previous over when Athey square cut War, but he hit it straight to the fieldsman, and that boundary brings up England's 200. 200 on the board without loss, England. Athey 85, Broad 100. No wicket for 202.
And Bill Athey, although he has tempted the fielders really 3 times in this innings, given chances at 3, 46 and 91, does, as Norman O'Neill says, thoroughly deserve 100, and he's not to be denied it, I'm sure. Just 4 runs short of it, but Reid and the other 10 Australians doing their best to deny him. In comes Reid, bowls a slow ball and bowls him. Well, that was a fine bit of bowling. Desperate disappointment for Bill Athey. The slow Yorker, and Athey was too late on it, didn't spot it. It swung in probably a little bit too. It was a very intelligent ball, and a crestfallen Bill Athey, head down, walks towards the pavilion, denied the, I'm sure, something that he's dreamt about all his life, a Test 100 against Australia. But still, it's his highest Test score. He receives the applause of the pavilion standing to him there, and all in the stand at that far end. A little neat figure disappears down the tunnel to the bittersweet thought that he was 4 runs away from a glory he would never forget. 96, bowled by Reid, 223 for 1. Reid, fair-haired, extremely bony, very tall, runs in, bowls to Lamb, and Lamb is caught behind. And Reid falls flat in his face in his enthusiasm to get up the other side and be embraced by his teammates. But the experiment of sending Lamb in at 3 has not worked, and those are 2 very important wickets which Bruce Reid has taken. And Lamb, who sometimes tends to be overconfident, I feel, going there to hit the ball away through the covers off the back foot. The ball bounced a bit, took the edge, and Reid has got a very important second wicket, and England have lost 2 wickets for 227, and they've lost 2 wickets in Reid's last 2 overs. Chris, what a wonderful feeling to look out there on the board and see England 272 for 2, Chris Broad 146 not out.
It's something I didn't really believe at the start of play. You know, we've had problems with opening the innings, but everything seemed to come right, both for Bill and I today.
Obviously, it was a good toss to win.
Yes, the wicket hasn't done a great deal. Again, I don't feel that we were put under a great deal of pressure to start with by the Australian bowling. But having said that, you know, we got through the first hour without too many problems, and that was the important part. And once the new ball wore off, the wicket got very flat.
Why do you think that you personally have taken quite a long time on this tour to put together the really big innings?
I don't know. That's a very difficult question. I felt in good nick. I just, on occasions, got to 20s and 30s, and I've played a bad shot. All down to discipline, I think, and you know that's my problem. But everything went well today. I just concentrated on every ball as it came down and tried to do my job, and it worked out very well.
You must have been very disappointed for Bill Athey when he got to within 4 of his first Test 100 and couldn't quite make it.
Very much so. I mean, Bill played really well. He had 1 or 2 escapes towards the latter part of his innings, but you know, he was still there, 4 away from 100, and he was extremely determined to get to 3 figures. And I did feel very sorry for the way he got out, but you know, that's the way it is.
Pretty good ball he got.
Yes, it was, you know, one which we seem to have problems with Bruce Reid, the very full delivery that somehow doesn't get picked up, and that was the case.
Does he in fact ever come over the side screen?
Well, we had some white sheeting put up at the far end today, particularly for that purpose, because David Gower also failed to pick one up when we played WA. And it seemed to work, but I don't know. You'll have to ask Bill whether he lost it or not.
For you, it's been a struggle to re-establish yourself in the England side after a summer in which a lot of people felt, in any case, you should have remained in the side and gone to India. So that must mean a terrific amount to you today.
Well, it's all water under the bridge, and I'm only too happy to be playing today, and it's one of the good days for me, so I shall remember it.
And the job tomorrow will be obviously to try to get over this second new ball.
Yes, we've got to start again tomorrow. Only losing 2 wickets, both batsmen are top order batters, so we've just got to knuckle down and see if we can get through that one.
Here's Chris Matthews, he bowls, pitches up, getting drives, caught! Beautifully caught in the gully by Waugh. Matthews pitching a little wide of the off stump, Gatting driving square, and Waugh takes a sharp catch in the gully. Gatting caught Waugh. Bowled Chris Matthews for 14, England 3 for 275, Broad 146 not out. In front of the scoreboard here is Lawson bowls, and he's dropped by Ritchie at third slip. Broad chased that one across. It was short and wide of the off stump. He was drawn to it, and it's really a straightforward catch. It was a fairly sharp one, but just to the left of Ritchie at third slip. And Broad has a life at 146. He gets his first run of the morning and is now 147, 3 for 282. And it's Lawson bowling to Broad, and he drives, and off the edge this time it beats Ritchie and comes to the third man fence for 4 to bring up his 150. Well, it was uppish, but it was wide of Ritchie this time between third slip and gully. Lawson disappointed. Broad driving at the half volley that was wide of the off stump. It flew in the air wide of Ritchie. And so there's 150 for Chris Broad. And England now 3 for 287.
In comes Reid. He bowls to Broad again. Broad is beaten. He's caught behind. Very good catch too by Zohra, diving to his left. And at 333, which is 3 times an unlucky number of 111 for England, Bruce Reid has taken his 3rd wicket of this innings. Broad nibbling at the ball outside the off stump. It got a bit of bounce, and it carried very quickly off the edge of the bat to a diving Zohra, who took a fine catch down by first slip's right ankle. But Reid bowls to him, and he's caught at second slip by Border for naught. And Bruce Reid has taken 2 vital wickets in successive overs, and you can certainly understand how all the Australian fielders gather round him now, and Reid's head is sticking out like a giraffe in a cage of well, baby giraffes, if you like.
Chris Matthews bowls to Gow. Gow gets his 50 there as he tickles it round the corner. He has 1, looking for 2. Comes back for the second now as Jones picks up, running out towards the square leg boundary. And 50 to David Gow. Beautifully played. That's Chris Matthews again. He bowls to Richards. Richards whips him away off his toes. That'll go for 4. A beautiful stroke to bring up the 400. Superb shot, Richards. 4 runs. Matthews over pitching on his toes, and Richards whipped it away past the square leg umpire for 4. Richards 28, Gow 76, and England 5 for 403.
In goes Matthews again and bowls to Gow, and that's the one he was going to have a go at. He thumps it over mid-wicket. What a beautiful shot. Hoyt straight over. He picked it up and just whistled it away over mid-wicket for 4. 5 for 417 now, the England total.
Here comes Matthews and bowls to Richards, who drives it into the gap at cover. It's a long chase back for the extra cover fielder, but he can't get there. The ball does, and that is Richards' first Test 50. He lifts his helmet off, lifts his bat towards the England dressing room, and receives a word of congratulation from David Gow, who indeed must have been delighted by the way that Richards has really taken the initiative since lunch and played in the free and fluent fashion that Gow himself was playing in before lunch.
Nice, smooth, rhythmic approach as he plays to Gow, and that ball takes Gow on the pad. I think he's off for the single. I'll just wait for the umpire to signal the leg by, which he does. The crowd were roaring for the century, but in fact they'll have to wait a little longer as the leg by is signalled by umpire Dick French. So sundries go up to 29. That's 5 for 465, and the crowd are onto the ground to congratulate David Gow on the century that he hasn't yet gotten. The police are out after them. So let's see how these guys go. Will they outrun the constabulary? Somebody's flicked off a policeman's cap. You are in trouble, sir, I'll tell you. The arrest has been completed, and now the boos come up from the crowd.
So here's Matthews to bowl to Gar. He's 99 not out. He goes forward, dabs it on the offside. They go for a quick single. Jones comes in, shies at the stumps, but Gar is home for his 6th Test 100 against Australia and his 14th in all for England. Up goes his bat, modestly rather than ecstatically waved towards the Union Jacks, which are flying out underneath the floodlight tower to the right of the England dressing room. A fine innings by Gar, and an innings of great character, because he's had his struggles, both technical and mental, on this tour.
The next two are current players, Border and Richards, and he's dropped! Gower slashing. Zura diving in front of Boone, deflected the ball. It was a regulation catch for the first slip fieldsman, deflected by Zura, and Reid, his 5th wicket, his first 5-wicket haul in a Test innings, goes begging.
Richards on 99. As Reid goes in past the umpire and bowls to him, and there's a drive that will bring him his century. Just forward of the umpire at point. It'll go 2/3 of the way to the boundary. Well done, Jack Richards. He comes back, getting his 2nd run, so he goes on to 101. England 5 for 524, and what a rousing round of applause he's getting from the crowd here. Somebody's jumped from the crowd and come out to give him the clap on the back. This time he'll be chased by the security guards, and he'll better make a quick exit from the ground. But Jack Richards joins a select band of wicket keepers who have scored a century in Anglo-Australian Test matches, and congratulations go to him. A fine century. He's 101. England 5 for 524. We watch Matthews bowl to Richards, and Richards drives through the covers. A handsome shot which will bring another 4 runs to him. 5 for 539. Richards goes to 106. And that's the 200 partnership up for these two. They came together when the score was 339, so applause now erupting around the ground for the 200 partnership between Richards and Gower. What a magnificent knock it's been. England 5 for 539.
Matthews bowls to Gar. Gar hits it in the air. He's going to be caught. He is caught by Waugh, coming in from cover point, and Waugh looked for a moment as though he was, I don't know whether he was disconcerted by the seagulls, but even as he took the catch, he seemed to be looking in another direction. At any rate, what matters is that he caught the ball, and that Gar is finally out for 136. Caught Waugh, bowled Greg Matthews, and the ground stands to the former England captain, who was a promising young player for Leicestershire here in 1978, 8 weary years ago, and 80-odd Test matches ago, as far as Gar is concerned, made his first Test 100 against Australia. Today he's made his 6th. Here's Chris Matthews running in now to bowl to Richards, who drives him in the air. Up to mid-off, he's going to be caught, and he is simply taken by Steve Waugh, who gets at least his 3rd catch of this innings. Judged the catch very nicely indeed, and England have declared. England have declared at 592 for 7, which is the highest Test score ever made on the WACA ground since Test cricket began here with the match between England and Australia in 1970-71. Dilly bowling to the end, that Broad was out. He runs in, bowls short, and he plays on. Boone plays on to his stumps. A little late jab at the ball, trying to keep it down, and it just fell down and removed the bails very, very gently. Boone drags himself disconsolate to the pavilion, and an ecstatic knot of England players gathers round Graham Dilly. David, many congratulations on a lovely innings. It was a joy to watch.
Thank you very much indeed.
Did it bring back a few memories for you of your first Test 100 in Australia on this ground?
Yeah, I think actually during that first knock, that first Test century here, conditions are a little different. I think the wicket today has been magnificent for batting on. And certainly, I think I was tested a little bit more last time round than this time. But there again, it's a question of making the most, I suppose, of the chances you get, making the most of conditions when they're like this. And as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the better wickets you will ever bat on.
You looked to be very confident from the start. I think you scored off your first 3 balls. Did you feel it?
Well, yes. I mean, I actually had a good run-up the last couple of days in the nets and stuff, and felt, you know, better than I felt all tour, really. And so in that sense, it was a question of saying to myself again, well, there's no point in losing this opportunity, and having got in reasonably quickly and got off to a good start like that, then I was just kept telling myself to make the most of it.
If you had any sort of sticky period, relatively, it was, I suppose, after lunch, when for a while you weren't quite so fluent as you'd been before lunch.
I think one of the reasons of that, I wasn't actually facing too many balls for a while. It's a bit hard to be too fluent if you're not facing much. And so I just had a little rest there. We had a little kip and waited for Jack to make a mistake with the counting.
Yes, well, you were obviously letting him have his head, and he certainly played well, didn't he?
That's right, he played tremendously. He played some magnificent shots. He attacked the spinners well, played some great shots off the back foot, off the seamers, and looked very confident.
How would you compare this amongst the really good wickets that you batted on? I mean, the Oval, when you played at the end of last season against New Zealand, got 100?
Yeah, the Oval, I think, the last few years have been quicker and bouncier than this has been. Certainly the quicks have had to work very hard to get much life out of it. It's only someone like Bruce Reid, with the extra sort of 6 or 7 inches on his height, who's actually got the ball up reasonably quickly. And in that sense, I think the Oval's probably a better cricket wicket than this one here, which I suppose in some terms is probably lacking a bit of pace and bounce for everyone's taste.
Do you think it's going to spin, this pitch?
Well, there's a few gone today. In that last over of John Embery's, I mean, 1 or 2 went there. And I think I'm sure it will develop a bit more. It still looks very good. The cracks are opening up a bit more, and they, of course, will keep doing that over the next 2 or 3 days. And when it gets to that sort of stage, the ball hits the crack, and they start to wear, then 1 or 2 things happen. But it's going to be hard work.
Jack, many congratulations on an absolutely tremendous first Test 100.
Thank you. I thought you were going to say tremendous first Test run, actually.
You were relieved just to get off the mark, were you?
I was, yes. Everything was a bonus after that, so that was a big thing in my mind, obviously, after failing in the first Test match, was to get off the mark and then keep going from then on in.
As good a wicket as you batted on?
Oh, we got a few good ones at the Oval, but it is a very good wicket. The odd ball did something off the cracks. The cracks are getting a bit bigger out there, and hopefully they will get a little bit bigger as the game goes on. But the odd ball did something, but it was a fantastic ground. Well, I think so, yeah.
David Gower suggested that you were counting fairly well out there. In other words, you were taking a fair bit of the strike after lunch. Obviously, that just happened, but it must have been reassuring to have him going well at the other end too.
Yes, I had good schooling. It just happened at the odd time when I get going a bit. They gave me the gaps they didn't want David to face, I presume, and of course you've got to take every run in Test cricket. He went through a stage where he was in the sort of 90s, so he didn't get much of the strike, but I'm not all that good at counting. I don't get much practice in it.
When you started this tour, did you think, or did you really think in your heart of hearts you were going to get into the Test side?
As you go as so-called number two keeper, obviously you think, well, something might happen, but I knew I could pressurise because I thought I had a good season in England with the bat, and I knew that's crucial now in any sort of cricket. And fortunately it came to pass that something going on here, that I was able to put it together.
Will you say that you've much improved as a batsman during last season?
I'd say it's a general build-up over the past 3 seasons, really. It's one aspect I've had to work at, and spent many an hour in the nets with Jeff Arnold and Mickey Stewart, and people at the Oval throwing me the ball and whatever.
And you've been working very hard, particularly, it seems to me, at this problem of the left-arm over bowlers in the nets. Is that a fair comment?
Well, I think everybody has, yes. It's a different angle. This chap Reid's the best bowler they've got, and he's quite a useful bowler, and obviously he's got this angle with the bounce, so it's something to work on in practice. And there's nothing like trying to get used to it as much as you can.
What garb are you taking? Because you seem to be well across to the offside.
Well, people say, yes, I take about middle, I put my toes on middle, and my bat ends up somewhere outside off stump. God knows where my head ends up, but it's worked. Purists will talk against it, but it's worked for me, and something that's kept me going. I'm fallible at times outside off stump. I do tend to nick it if I do get out, but I've worked out my way of playing, and it's worked out quite well for me up to now.
As De Freitas goes in and bowls to Waugh again, and Waugh hits this in the air. Where's that gone? I reckon that's over the fence for 6. He's just helped it on its way down to backward square, and the signal comes up and the roar from the crowd greets that stroke with approval, and that's the 50 partnership between these two, and a fine way to bring it up. He got into position beautifully and really timed that shot to perfection. Botham back at the top of his mark at the southern end, that's our broadcast end, as Botham goes in and bowls to Marsh again. That's down the leg side, and he's caught it backward square leg. He's pulled that straight into the fieldsman, and Marsh is out. The first breakthrough for England comes with the score at 64. So Australia now 2 wickets for 64, and that was a very sharp chance right out of the meat of the bat. And I think Marsh was absolutely devastated when he realised that he was caught. He looked around and said, well, that was a pretty smart chance, and I didn't really think it'd go to hand, but it was a brilliant catch and a very sad departure as far as Australia's concerned. 2 for 71 as Botham gets back to the top of his mark, preparing to deliver again. Bounces into the wicket and bowls to Waugh, and Waugh drives. A good-looking shot too, wide of De Freitas in the covers. Batsman has 1, he'll go back for 2, and he'll be content with that, I think. So Steve Waugh brings up his half-century, a magnificent stroke to bring it up 2. He waves over to the dressing room to the Australian team. It's an innings that I'm sure the Australian skipper Alan Border would hope goes on and on and on, but it's been a competent display from the youngster from New South Wales. He goes to 50, and the Australian total 2 for 73. As he goes in again from the southern end and bowls to Dean Jones, and Jones clips him out through square leg. You get the 1 here. Will he think about the second? Dilly coming up from the fine leg boundary, and they'll go back for 2. That's well run, and that's the 100 up for Australia. They go to 2 wickets for 100. Jones goes to 13, I think it is. No, Jones is on 12. Waugh 66, 5 sundries. Australia now 2 wickets for 100.
And a very promising young Steve Waugh at the other.
And he's out from the first ball after lunch. Waugh caught Botham, bowled Embry for 71, and Australia 3 for 114. And
as we watch Jones bowl to Edmonds, and there's an appeal for a catch. The umpire is at last giving him out. The umpire just looking over to the square leg umpire and saying, well, did that carry? What did you think? And he gets the nod. So Jones is on the way. Tickled one round the corner. He's out, caught by Bill Athey. So Jones is out, caught by Athey off the bowling of Edmonds.
Edmonds left arm round the wicket. Past umpire McConnell. Bowls to Ritchie, and he's caught it slip. Yes, he's caught it slip. Ritchie hesitated before walking, but that one must have turned just that much quicker. And with his back to us, it was difficult to see precisely how that got past Ritchie's bat. Bob Massey has a television replay which he'll be able to refer to in a moment, but the ball carried very slowly and comfortably to Botham at slip. Therefore, it must either have come off glove or I would think, or a mixture of bat and pad. It certainly travelled slowly, and what matters is that wicket has fallen at 198, and that is a vital wicket for England to have struck so close before the tea interval. Here comes Dilly from the Swan River end, still bowling over the wicket to the left-handed bowler. It's pitched further up, and he drives it through extra cover for another 4. And every time Border has had a chance to drive given to him by either De Freitas or Dilly, he's gone boldly, decisively for the stroke, and every time he's found a gap in the field, hit it hard, and gained his reward. This beautiful wicket with a fast outfield has made for some marvellous cricket, as good pitches so generally do in cricket, and that 4 brings up the 200 for Australia, and with Border still there, their supporters will still have considerable hope that they can get out of their present troubles in this game.
Embry around the wicket, bowls to Border. Border sweeps, there's his 50. Ball runs down to Broad at deep backward square leg, so the Australian captain is 50. Acknowledges his teammates. And that is his 11th half-century against England and 33rd in his Test career. Border 50. Greg Matthews yet to score 5 for 207. Australia now needing 131 to avoid the follow-on as Botham bowls short wide, and Matthews swats it high, 3-point for 4. De Freitas is chasing after it. He won't cut it off. It goes into the boundary board now. Now that was bounced very much in Botham's half of the pitch. It was a wide bouncing rank long hop that Matthews chased, and those are the sort of balls that Botham gets wickets on, Bob, and he hit it with a tennis shot high 3-point, but it went for 4.
Yes, that's exactly right. He gives a away the odd boundary in that fashion, but he picks up vital wickets in that same manner. And I guess it's just this aggressive nature that, and perhaps a little bit of luck that rides with him, but he makes his own luck a lot of times.
Botham from the Swan River end goes in and bowls to Matthews, and that is sliced by Matthews away over the top of Lamb at third slip, down to the fence for 4. A somewhat fortuitous stroke by Matthews. Border has a word to say to his partner, but again Matthews not in control of the stroke, driving through the line of Botham, the angle, taking the ball away from the left-handed batsman. It went high over the head of Lamb at third slip and down to the boundary for 4 more. So Matthews is 37, Border 74, 5 for 270. But as you suggest, Bob, a very dangerous period here for Australia. The bowlers looking as if they could break through at any moment, both Botham and Dilley using this new ball quite effectively. Here's Botham. He bowls to Matthews, and Matthews gets 4 more. That was a more convincing stroke. He hammers it away off the back foot down to third man with a late cut, but he was over the top of that one. And through it goes between third slip and gully to the boundary. And Botham's not too happy about that. Gaddings waving his arms around Botham immediately said, I want to change in the field. But Matthews moves into the 40s. He's 41, Border 74. It's 5 for 274.
Well, I thought that was pretty well played by Greg Matthews. He kept that right down. There was never any hint of that going to be in the air long enough for a catch, and it was off the middle of the bat and very, very well played. If the one before that was a little risky, certainly no element of risk in that one. Botham very, very quick to ask for a change. I wonder at times whether that's the time to make a field change when you're steamed up and you've just been edged for 4 or played through the slips cordon for 4. But no doubt in a very aggressive mood, and I think he senses too that with the Dilley bowling so well and naturally backing himself at this stage, that England are on the verge of a breakthrough.
He's moved Gow from mid-on to a 4th slip, and that one is chopped down by Matthews. He's over the top of it. Botham peppering away at the off stump. It's just short of a length. At that time, Matthews well in control, hammering it hard down into the ground to Edmonds in the gully. Thought for a moment he was going to send De Freitas down to third man. He headed off in that direction, but Botham's not the type of man to go on the defensive there. He put an extra man in the catching cordon, Gow. So there are 3 slips, Embry, Gatting and Lamb. Descending order of height there. And then a gap round to Gow, and then another gap to Edmonds, who's the square of the 2 gullies, and De Freitas out in the covers. Here's Botham.
Botham trying to get Matthews to play the cut shot. He strengthened the cordon. The dangerous one is the one that's very close. Botham will keep feeding him because he's got him on the go now. He's got 2 4s, and that's the danger time. That's when Botham will pick up a wicket, and the batsman's free-flowing. He's setting up the bait. Suddenly one's a little bit too close. And how often does Botham then take a wicket in that fashion?
5 for 274, Border 74, Matthews 41. Botham bowls to Matthews. Matthews cuts in the air, but wide of Gow. 4 more. Well, that's the one he was looking for. Botham stands in the mid-pitch with hands on hips, glaring down at Matthews. Well, he went for the slashing stroke, hit it in the air about knee-high, but he put it wide of Gow. Down to the fence it goes. Matthews 45, 5 for 278. 3 4s in the over so far. And Botham's not impressed at all about this.
Well, this is great stuff. Matthews is taking the fight up to Botham. Botham's providing the opportunities. Almost trying to buy a wicket here, but Matthews having the last laugh so far, but don't underestimate Botham.
Another man into the slips, Bob. Look at this. Broads coming across from short backward square. There's going to be 6 of them there now.
Well, you'd think Dennis Lilly's bowling out here, wouldn't you, at his absolute peak? The ring of fieldsmen, and you'd hardly think that this was a batting paradise that we were calling just a day or so ago. You think this is now a wet green top almost.
5 slips into gully, and get it through there if you can, Greg Matthews, says Botham.
Can they get him on in there?
Matthews went down the pitch, did a bit of prodding, and he just practiced a flashing square cut to say, well, you pitch one short, boy, and I'll go for it. 5 for 278. A great challenge on Botham. Comes steaming in, he bowls to Matthews, and he chopped it down into the ground. Well fielded by Edmonds in the gully. He didn't quite time it as well as you would have liked, but he was right over the top of it. So a fine over, great entertainment for the crowd. And at the end of it, Australia 5 for 278 with Border 74 and Matthews 45.
So 279 for 5, and all action still. Terrific tussle going on here. Australia getting now to within sniffing distance, if not striking distance, of the 392. They need to avoid a follow-on. Still 5 wickets in hand, but wickets can suddenly fall sometimes. This is still a very important stand. It's been a most valuable one for Australia. In comes Dilley from the pavilion end. He bowls now to Matthews, and Matthews is caught very well by both of them at second slip. Diving to his right, brilliant slip catch. Good bowling by Dilley, and Matthews had just got into, I think the heart was ruling the head there, and he was going to keep on going for the ball outside the off stump. And it's, I suppose you can say, some sort of justice that it should have been Botham who took the catch, because Matthews was flirting with danger in the previous over, and he walks annoyed with himself off to the pavilion. He is a pugilist by nature, Greg Matthews, and he was going for another attacking stroke outside the off stump there.
Remarkable catch. Did you happen to see it?
I did look around to see him take it, the second grab at it, and hold it, but it was disappointing. But catches win matches, and that was certainly a good catch.
Well, you've seen the replay, and they reckon it might be the catch of the year. You've started the season brilliantly against the Englishmen, 2 half-centuries, 2 centuries. You must like their attack.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to get away to a good start, but there's a long way to go, and we've got a lot of work to do, and I'll certainly be working very hard to continue my form against them.
And your opening partner, David Boone, has been struggling. Have you been able to do anything to try and get him out of this trough he's in?
Yeah, Boone is struggling a little bit, but he's working. He's hitting the ball well. That's the main thing, and I think it's just a matter of getting a start, and he'll be right. He's certainly hitting the ball well, and I think he's done well enough to know himself that he's not far from getting a big score, and hopefully it'll come very soon.
Well, I suppose most people around Australia would know that you live not far away from Perth in a little town called Wandering. I suppose half of Wandering are here for the match.
I think there was a few here today, and most of them probably gone home by now, but no, they were, a lot of them came down for the game, but I think most of them are sitting on tractors at home listening.
Well, that's funny, because a couple of guys over near the scoreboard said to me yesterday, why do they put the test match on during harvest time? Has that affected your family coming to the match?
I think we've delayed the harvest just for a couple of days, but they'll be into it probably Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, you might be pleased about that, because there's been some good rain near Perth the last couple of days.
Yes, well, I hope it hasn't got home. I don't think they really need rain down there at the moment, so hopefully it stayed away.
Well, let's get back to the situation in the match. How's the wicket playing, and do you think Australia can survive?
I think the wicket's playing reasonably well. I think as long as it holds together, then we've got a good chance of sort of getting past the follow-on, and from then on it's a new ball game. Once we get past the follow-on, the test match opens up again, so that's our main aim at the moment.
OK, and what's planned for the rest day?
Just a quiet day home with the family, I think.
Terrific. OK, thanks very much, Geoff Marsh.
Mike, it was a very hard day for England on the third day. Pretty good wicket still.
Yes, I mean, it's reminiscent of the effort that we put in on the 4th day at Brisbane. You know, it's a tremendous effort. We've got 6 wickets, and the lads stuck at it well. As you can see, the wicket's still not doing much. We thought we had a couple of close ones turned down, but apart from that, the lads stuck at it. John Embry didn't perhaps bowl as well as he would have liked. In fact, nowhere near as well as he'd have liked, but apart from that, everybody bowled tremendously well.
John Embry said an interesting thing actually after the Brisbane test, namely that he prefers bowling without a breeze, but he had the breeze here. I think I'm right in saying he's never bowled at Perth before, has he?
That I wouldn't know. He didn't say much to me about that, but he just felt that it wasn't right at all today, and unfortunately he's gone for 91, which, you know, is a bit unlike Ernie.
Phil Edmonds, on the other hand, bowled very well.
Yes, Phil bowled very steadily and bowled very well. And, you know, it's just one of those days. John will never let you down, and it's just unfortunate.
You got your wicket with the new ball, or you got more than one wicket with the new ball, which, of course, you had to do, didn't you?
Yes, we needed a couple of wickets just to get everybody on the road again. And we're still sort of whittling away as they are at the follow-on total. So hopefully if we can nip a couple out first thing Tuesday morning, then we'll hopefully be on the way to ask them to follow on.
And at this stage you would expect to ask them to follow on, would you, provided that your bowlers weren't too tired?
Well, if we asked them to follow on, I should think we'd have only done about an hour's bowling at the most. so they should be fairly fresh, and we'll just have to wait and see.
So you're not worried that the pitch is going to really deteriorate and be really awkward to bat on if you had some runs to get in the last innings?
Well, obviously it's not going to be a great wicket on Wednesday. I shouldn't think. The cracks are starting to open up now, and with a day's sort of sun on it tomorrow during the rest day, they might well open up a bit more, but we'll have to wait and see.
Just looking back a bit earlier to the match, Mike, you must have been delighted with the way that England, having not had an opening stand of 16 in a first-class match before this, had a wonderful one with Bill Athey and Chris Broad.
Well, as we've been saying all along, Chris Broad has looked the part but hasn't perhaps gone past 30. And this time he just kept going. He played tremendously well. It was a chanceless knock till he got to about 140. And as well as you'll see anybody play. And Bill Athey did a tremendous job. He kept working hard, and he was very unlucky to miss out on his 100. But it just epitomises the effort that the guys are making, and they're really keen to do the job. And it's been a tremendous effort yet again, and we've batted for the 2 days and that we wanted to, and we're in a good position again, and it's all thanks to the guys that got their heads down. David Gower played a magnificent knock, and I think people have underestimated Jack Richards' knock, because that was a very fine knock as well. And the 3 guys, or the 4 guys that got the big scores, did a tremendous job. And it's very rarely you see England get 590, and people like Ian Botham and Alan Lamb getting 0 each, so it's been a tremendous effort.
Yes, and Jack Richards' wicket-keeping was also immaculate, at least until the last over of the day, when you were in the field. Yes,
one of those from Ernie turned quite a long way and pitched sort of leg stumpish and really went quite a long way. The second one, perhaps the day's fielding perhaps told a little bit, but he's kept very well and been very happy with him.
How much rough, in fact, is there, or rough to work on?
There's not a great deal this time. They've kept the left-armers off the wicket. There's still a little bit, but not a great deal. It's the cracks that are opening up that might be the problem.
Were you a bit disappointed, considering that 1 or 2 balls turned in the first over that John Embry bowled on the second evening, that it didn't turn more on the third day?
Well, no, the only reason they turned, apparently, because it did pitch out wide in the rough, and anywhere near straight it perhaps wasn't turning so much. So we just had to work hard. We knew it would be hard work. I mean, when you get 592 on a wicket, it normally means it's a fairly good wicket, and it's not going to really deteriorate on day 3. Hopefully it might do by day 4. So, again, it was a tremendous effort. It was nice to have been sort of 270 rather than 309, but we're very happy with the day's play.
Finally, from my point of view, Mike, are you taking to the sea tomorrow, or are any of the players taking to the sea at Fremantle?
I think a few of them are, yes. A few are going out on a boat, and a few are just relaxing. I'm not sure who's going to play golf. There'll probably be a few playing golf, the usual sort of exercise. But we haven't really discussed that. We're just fairly tired after a long day in the field, and just been talking about what went on, really, that's all.
Thanks very much. In comes Dilly from the far pavilion end. He bowls to Zohra. Zohra is hit on the pad and appealed for LBW, and he's out. He'd come across in front of his stumps, and he looks surprised, Zohra, but I think that he had, in fact, betrayed himself there by coming across in front of about middle and leg. The ball swinging from leg to off.
Botham goes in and bowls to Border again and digs it in, and Border hooks. That's a good-looking shot. Will Athey cut it off? He will, just behind square. So a princely shot for a miserable result, really. Just the 1 run. That's the 350 on the board for Australia. Australia now 7 for 350, and Alan Border going up to 91. As De Freitas goes in and bowls to Lawson. Lawson's bowled. Played over the top of it. He looked to whip that out into the onside field. He played right across it, and he's had his middle stump uprooted. Australia 8 for 360. Lawson gone, bowled by De Freitas for 13. Australia 8 for 360. The not-out batsman Alan Border on 98, and Australia still in a heap of trouble here. Batting to come Chris Matthews and Bruce Reid, but they're still 33 runs short of the follow-on figure, and a lot will rely now on Alan Border.
Border 99, waits, Embry bowls, Border steers it down, there's his 100. Border gets his 100, tickling that one down to third man, chased by Gatting. They have 2. Will they go for 3? Yes, they do. Alan Border scores his 20th Test century for Australia, raises his bat to his teammates in the crowd. Border 102 not out, and Australia 8 for 367. The Australian captain getting a standing ovation from quite a nice sized crowd on this Tuesday morning in Perth. Border, his 100 coming in 312 minutes from 198 balls with 15 fours. Alan Border, 312 minutes, 198 balls, 15 fours.
Embury bowling around the wicket from the Prindiville stand end. Bowls to Matthews, who lofted in the air. Broad getting to it, and he's taken the catch. Matthews is out. That rush of blood that he'd really stopped away from for so long, and suddenly Matthews gets the head up, went for the lofted off drive. He was caught by Broad in the deep. Off the bowling of Embury for 10. Australia now 9 for 385, and they're still 8 runs away from safety with Bruce Reid to walk to the wicket. Now Border to settle, although his powers of concentration are tremendous as he cuts, and that goes out into the covers. This could be it. The ball going out towards the boundary with Gatting after it. I don't think Gatting will get to it. It goes into the fence now. Australia avoid the follow-on, and Alan Border jumps with glee. I don't think he greeted his century with so much animation. So Australia have avoided the follow-on. Australia going up to 9 for 393. And that was a very positive way of doing it. So a lot of relief there from Alan Border, the Australian skipper. As he realised that ball was going to the boundary, he did a little victory dance. Australia is still 199 runs behind the England first innings total of 8 declared for 592. But at least there's that degree of safety gained by avoiding the follow-on.
So Australia's 400 coming in 519 minutes, 134.1 overs. 400 the innings for Australia in 519 minutes. 9 for 401, Border 125 and Reid 2. Here's Dilly, he bowls. Oh, and he's been caught by Richards at the second attempt. Driving Border. Good catch by Richards because he was diving across in front of Embury. It hit the gloves, popped up in the air, and he scooped it up just centimetres from the ground. Australia dismissed for 401. Jack Richards takes a splendid catch as Neville Oliver returns from lunch into the box, delighted with that catch by Jack Richards. And Border is out. Caught Richards, bowled Dilly for 125. Reid remains 2 not out. There were 29 sundries in Australia's innings. And Graham Dilly, again the most successful bowler for England, a splendid return of 4 for 79. I'll check the full board of Australia's innings in just a moment, but let's get some thoughts from Norman O'Neill. But firstly, let's hear from this good crowd as they give Alan Border, the Australian skipper, a standing ovation.
Reid, bowling without a sweater, runs in from the Swan River end, bowls to Athey, and oh, very well caught indeed by Border at second slip. It travelled fast and low, and I thought for a moment it had bounced in front of him, but he managed to get his hands underneath it. And I'm afraid I've put the mouth on Bill Athey there, and he's out for 6. Caught Border, bowled Reid, and England are 1 wicket down for 8 runs. A lead of 199, and so often happens in these circumstances that the side looking for quick runs, in fact, runs into a bit of trouble.
Well, 401, Bob Simpson, the total by Australia in reply to England's 592. Was it a satisfactory effort?
I think it was. I think the batsmen played exceptionally well. All of them fought. They all made sure they gave what they could for their country. And to get 400, I think that's an excellent effort.
Some great fighting qualities shown by the tail-enders this morning.
Yes, this is right. They worked hard. We found that they were prepared to knuckle down. Most of the time that they played within their own talents. And I think when you look at that, it was a good all-round performance.
Your assessment of Alan Border's innings?
Oh, Alan has been battling for form, and I think this makes it an even better innings than he normally would play. He didn't do it easy up there. The wicket was always going to do something, and Alan's just such a great player. He just gets on with the job. He makes sure that he doesn't give anything away, and even when he's in some poor form for him, he can still get runs.
Well, 191 behind on the first innings. Obviously, England still very much in the box seat. How do you think the game should go from here?
Well, we've got to make sure we restrict the Englishmen as much as we can. It's important that we try to contain them. We've got to pick up a couple of wickets here and there. Obviously, the more time it takes England to get a total that they feel they can safely declare at, the better for us, because it's going to be a long, hard slog on the last day.
What chance that Gatting would make a friendly sort of declaration?
I don't think if I was in Gatting's shoes I'd be making any friendly declaration. His job is to win for his country and not to make a game of it. So I would think that he would give the declaration that he will give will be the one designed to give England the best chance of winning.
Because they'd be quite happy to go to Adelaide 1 up, wouldn't they?
I think they'd like to go to Adelaide 2 up. I'm sure he's got that in mind, and they've got plenty of chances to go for the runs. They've got wickets in the hands. They've got a little lead now. So I think it's up to Gatting himself now to show the way.
Bob, in the Australian camp, everybody well and happy at the moment?
Well, certainly everyone's fit and raring to go out there. We picked up 1 wicket. Would have been nice to have picked up another 1 or 2. A couple of LBWs must have been fairly close, but that's the luck of the draw. And we need really a couple of perhaps 2 or 3 quick wickets to put the pressure back on England.
And Allen came off after taking that catch, a little bit of a cut on the hand, was it?
Yes, he's bent back the nail, and that's very, very sore. He's back out there now, but he doesn't want to go on slips until that's okay.
OK, Bob, well, let's hope perhaps for a few more wickets this afternoon.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the umpire putting his finger up and the English batsman walking out, and if he does that, we'll be very happy.
The last time we had a chat during this match, a wicket fell the first ball after lunch.
Well, let's hope it does now.
OK, thanks very much, Bob Simpson. Now let's go back to the central commentary position.
Ball bowls. Good delivery, wraps him on the pad, and he's out LBW. Broad walks down the pitch and has a good close look at it as he walks by, but that looked plumb. Waugh gets the breakthrough. Broad, LBW to Waugh for 16, Gatting 19, and England building on this first innings lead of 191 for 47. Interesting to see who comes in at number 4. Probably will be Alan Lamb, and Stephen Waugh has a well-earned first wicket at a cost of 4 runs. Reid bowling to 3 slips and a short backward square leg to Lamb, goes up and bowls a slow Yorker and hits him on the pad. He's out LBW. Beautiful delivery from Reid. The slower ball, the Yorker. Lamb is out. LBW to Reid for 2. Gatting is 26 sundries, and England now 3 for 50, and Bruce Reid bowling beautifully has 2 for 21. Here's Lawson going in, he bowls to Gow. Gow drives, he's got this through square on the offside. Handsome stroke, beautiful stroke Gow to bring up England 100. Lawson over pitching, Gow laying back his ears and driving it beautifully between cover and extra cover for 4. Superb stroke. Gow 40, Gatting 26, and England 3 for 102, now lead by 391.
Waugh comes in again, he bowls to Gow, and Gow plays and misses, does he?
Picked up a wicket.
He didn't miss at all, he took the swing at that, and so Waugh, well done, he's picked up the wicket of David Gow, who's just tickled that into the gloves of wicket-keeper Zura. Gow is out for 46, Kurt Zura bowled Waugh for 46, England now 4 for 123 in their second innings.
Here's Waugh, he bowls. Gatting cuts for his 50. Good stroke, just a single down to Richie at third man, and Mike Gatting, the England captain, is 50. And the England score of 4 for 137. Reid bowls and it's driven up his lead. He's caught. Both of them is out, caught by Greg Matthews at cover. Reid gets his 3rd wicket. Botham caught Greg Matthews. Bowled Reid for 6. England 5 for 140 with Gatting on 50. Well, that's a good delivery from Reid. Botham coming forward for the drive. It wasn't quite pitched up far enough, and he hit it hard, but straight to Greg Matthews, who took the catch at cover.
As Waugh bowls to Gatting and bowled him. Gatting came forward. He was really going to take a dip at that one up to the member's end. He played over the top of it, and it's bowled him. So Waugh breaks through again, and Australia now have England in their second innings 6 for 172. Last batsman out, Gatting, bowled by Waugh for 70. England 6 for 172. As Waugh bowls to DeFreitas, he goes down and is bowled. He got the head up, he was trying to loft that into the Prindiville stand. England lose another wicket. That's to be expected with the attitude of Philip DeFreitas. He was really going after the bowling. He pays the ultimate penalty, he loses his wicket, and England are now 7 wickets down for 190, but that lead approaching 400 runs. I'm sure that Mike Gatting wouldn't mind losing the wicket. he'd be delighted with the job that De Freitas did in building that lead up. Waugh goes back down to the member stand end and turns at the top of his run. He's on the way in to bowl to Jack Richards with him now, and Richards lofts that straight down the ground. Chance of a catch here. He's out. Richards is out, caught by the player coming in. I think it's Chris Matthews down there in the deep.
Lawson.
Caught by Jeffrey Lawson. So England lose their 8th wicket with a total at 199. Richards going the big shot straight down the ground. Lawson had to run in about 7 or 8 metres, maybe just a little bit further than that, to take the catch. And so with that catch, the players leave the ground now for the end of this day's play. England 8 for 199. Australia would need 391 runs on the final day for victory. That seems highly unlikely, but I think it's going to be a very entertaining day's play tomorrow.
Now Dilley is going to take the new ball from the Swan River end. David Boone on strike. Batting without any headwear, Boone, as he waits the first ball of Australia's second innings. It's wide of the something. He's caught at second slip by Gow. By Botham. 100 catches in Test cricket for Botham. Boone out from the first ball of Australia's second innings. Caught Botham at second slip. Bowled Dilley for naught. And, well, it couldn't be a worse start. He just followed that across and steered it straight into the midriff of Botham, who takes his 100th catch in Test cricket. Boone out, first ball for naught. Australia, 1 wicket for no runs.
Those enormous floodlight towers looking down, unemployed at the moment as Dilley bowls, and Jones gets his 50 here as he drives through mid-off. Good looking shot, Gatting's after it. They'll certainly get 4 runs. So well played, Dean Jones. He was operating virtually as an opener this morning, coming in for the second ball of the day, and he's made a very positive 50. 52 out of 89. As I say, he has had his moments of luck. The couple of LBW shots which must have been perilously close.
Hit it to perfection through the mid-wicket area for 4. Wasn't a very good ball, Mr. Botham.
It was a friendly medium pace half pitcher, Norman. I think he would have probably hit it into the Swan River. That's another short one wide of the off stump from Botham, and he's hurt himself. He's pulled up and he's holding his left side as he completed his delivery stride there. So Botham still holding his left side, lurching and moving about, still feeling just in behind lower back region on the left side, and overcomes De Freitas. Up trots Broad, but the big fellow will probably take a fair bit more than that to stop him, but he just went for another short one. It was wide of the off stump. Jones didn't show any interest at all in the delivery, and it obviously caused both of them a little bit of discomfort on the completion of his delivery stride. He goes in and he can't bowl. I think he's going to have to give this away here. He tried to release the ball. He tosses it down on the turf, and I think we're going to see the end of Ian Botham here. And, well, he's obviously injured. Just how badly, of course, we'll have to wait and see when he cools down.
Well, gee, I hope he's not. It will take a lot of colour away from the next Test match if he's unable to make it, but I'm sure with the physiotherapy and the medical attention that players receive these days that he probably would be all right, but that's sad to see. That really is. And Botham rather dejected as he leaves the field.
Clustered around Marsh, he bowls. Marsh lets it go, pads up, and he's out LBW without offering a stroke. Marsh out, padding up, not offering a stroke. The ball spinning back. Embry strikes for England. Australia 3 for 142. And Marsh out LBW to Embry for 49. Border is 10, 14 sundries. Australia 3 for 142. Embry has his first wicket at a cost of 22 runs. 68 overs of the innings have been completed. In fact, 35 overs bowled in the session between lunch and tea. As Edmonds comes up and bowls, pitched up, off the pad. He's out caught though, batting it well. Border didn't hesitate, so the wicket has been taken by Edmonds. The second ball after tea. And how often have we seen wickets fall quickly after an interval? The first ball of the day, we saw Waugh go out, first ball after lunch on Sunday, and here's Border, second ball after tea, caught by Lamb at bat pad on the offside from the bowling of Edmonds for 16, no doubt amongst Englishmen, and Australia 4 for 152. Edmonds has his first wicket at a cost of 21 runs.
This may just be a device to change the two spinners round again, but I suspect it's more likely to be a gesture by Mike Gatting to say, well, we've tried all we know and we haven't done enough. And not a bad ball there by Lamb either. A little bit of swing as he dug it in short around the middle stump, but it ended up on the leg stump. Matthews played it and gives Lamb the accolade of going up to prod the spot where that pitched. How Alan Lamb would love to get him out. In he goes, right arm, medium pace. Military medium, one might say, and it's turned away square to Gower, who makes a nice kick on the run, and that is going to be the end of the match. England have conceded that Australia have fought their way successfully through the day. Mike Gatting shakes hands with the umpire at his hand. He pats the back of Greg Ritchie for his sterling defence, and Australia have saved this second test match, which for the first 3 days looked very likely to be another England win, and after a first innings score of 592 for 8 declared, it became a matter of whether Australia could bat out most of the second half of the match. They have succeeded in doing it. They succeeded in avoiding the follow-on, and now they have managed to draw the game, finishing at 197 for 4. Greg Matthews 14 not out, and Greg Ritchie's score has come down, so I must ask Harry Clare. 24 he was. And the announcement of the man of the match is that it is Chris Broad, so well done, Chris Broad.
During an emergency,
no power, no hot water, no Wi-Fi, no nothing.
Find your local ABC radio station.
Thank goodness for you guys. We've got a battery radio and keep up to date.
ABC Radio is your emergency broadcaster.
ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of AFL.
Hello, it's time to step back into the ABC Sport archive now and the 1986-87 Ashes series. It's the third test from Adelaide. There was a debut for Australia for Greg Dyer. England handed a debut to batter James Whittaker, and there was also a captain's knock from Alan Border.
With all those men up around the bat, forcing the bowler really to hurry the ball through. Gatting bowls again along the pads and worked away by Boone down towards long leg. They'll come back for a second run as Dilly comes around the field. And that's the 50. 50 for David Boone. He gets the applause of the crowd and the England players. It has been an excellent innings by David Boone. 7 boundaries in his half-century from 152 balls in 164 minutes. Boone 50, it's none also for 101. The first time they've put on 100 since the first test against New Zealand in Wellington. That is in a test for Australia. They put on 104 there. That's Gatting. Bowls again to Boone, who works it through the onside. And it's De Freitas. No, that's Slack who's out on the field. Slack substituting for someone or other is out on the field, and they took a single. So it's 102 without loss at the end of the over. Boone 51 and Marsh on 38.
Again, it's Edmonds, left arm round the wicket, bowling to Marsh. Marsh gets a chance to sweep here, and he's played onto his stumps, off his pads. What an unlucky dismissal. He was going to swing it away on the onside. The ball hit him on the pads. I think it would certainly have missed leg stump. And a slightly fortuitous dismissal for Phil Edmonds, but reward for patient bowling by him. And a bit of an unlucky way for Marsh to end his innings. 43, bowled by Edmonds, having hit 5 fours and been in since the start, and helped to post his 700 opening partnership with David Boone. Australia 1 for 113. He was in for 193 minutes and faced 137 balls, and as I say, hit 5 fours. Eric.
Yes, a very disappointing Marsh then. As you said, he tried to sweep the ball or plant it over on the leg side. It was pitched up very well, and it was pitched outside the leg stump. It hit him on the front pad, and then bounced around towards the keeper, and then went at right angles and finished up hitting the middle stump. A very unlucky Marsh, but he's done the job for Australia. And just seeing the replay, yes, it has hit the middle stump, but he hit 5 fours in his stay, faced 137 deliveries, but the foundation has been set for Australia now to perhaps get a big score. I think they need to be around about 250 to 270 by stumps tonight.
De Freitas comes in, and Jones pulls at a short ball, It's gone high in the air, out towards Dilly, and it bounced about 2 metres in front of Dilly. When Jones hit the ball, I'm sure he felt, oh no, that's goner, that's a goner. And then Dilly, for some unbelievable reason out there, just put the brakes on and allowed the ball to bounce in front of him. He made no effort at all to get to the ball on the full. Norman O'Neill was just looking at a replay to confirm that we just couldn't believe. Dilly almost got there, and then he put the brakes on, and he allowed the ball to land, about 2 metres from him.
I can't believe that.
Have another look at this.
Quite incredible.
Top edge as he tried to hook, high in the air. Dilly's coming in to get underneath it, and then he stops.
He could have taken that waist high. No question at all about that. That was remarkable. And I can tell you something else too, Jim. I was looking towards the slip cordon. That was the end of the over. And Gatting was not very happy at all. Neither were any of the fieldsmen out there. And Dilly now at mid-off, and I'm sure that he's not too happy with the glares that he received from his teammates. That was an incredible incident. He couldn't have lost it, surely. No, he couldn't. Marsh never ever seems to change. He plays the same way every time I've seen him, taking a full advantage of anything that is loose, but waiting for the right ball to hit. Much more careful player than Boone, who on the other hand is quite prepared to show his hand, and there's been a good innings today by Boone. He's shown a lot of aggression, particularly after he got to about 30.
Boone on 96. I just saw him have a look out at the mid-wicket boundary. Let's see what he does as he plays forward in defence back towards the bowler. So there's a slip and a silly mid-off. There's a backward point, cover, extra cover, and mid-off. Then on the onside, there's a backward square leg, a shortish mid-wicket and a mid-on as Boone watches the next one, and he crashes that away. That's his century. A good shot by David Boone, which goes out through point, and he brings up the 3 figures. David Boone, 100. He signals to his teammates. I bet he would love this moment, because he's answered the critics in the most positive fashion today. David Boone is 100. Australia 1 for 180. The chanting starts on the hill. It almost sounds like a boo, but they're saying Boone, Boone, Boone. And I bet there's no more relieved man in cricket right at this second than David Boone, who's had a bad run of outs this summer, and he answered in the best possible way with the bat. 100 not out.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen anybody respond to 100 like that. Perhaps Matthews on one occasion, but we expect that from him. He's a very emotional man, but Boone appears to me to be a much cooler sort of a customer, but he really got a great thrill out of that, and he's a very happy man at the present time. As you said, things haven't been going his way. He's had some misfortune. He was hit in Hobart the other day. Good luck to him. It's been a very fine innings.
Now, let's see what he does as Edmonds comes in and bowls to him, and Boone plays it defensively away on the offside. It goes on the bounce to David Gower. So, David Boone is 100, Jones 22, 15 sundries, 180 for the loss of 1 wicket. Boone's 100 coming up in 271 minutes as Edmonds bowls to him again, and he's forward in defence, the ball running away on the onside. Boone's 100 coming in 271 minutes, 246 deliveries, and he struck 14 fours. Always hits a fairly high percentage of his big scores and boundaries. So it's now 1 for 180.
So although the scoring's been slow, it's been a fine battle out there with Boone cooling his heels since reaching 100. He's just lost the momentum as he goes down now and swings, and he's caught. He's caught. He went right after Embury, and he hit that in the meat, hitting across the line, losing patience there, trying to hit it over the top, and he hit it like a bullet, but straight at Whittaker, who was there at mid-on. He took it on his chest and collapsed backwards, knowing that he'd held the catch, and David Boone is on his way for 103. Caught Whittaker, bowled Embury, 103. It's 2 for 185.
That's a very good wicket for England, but well played by David Boone, even though he did get out just 35 minutes before stumps. He'll get a great reception from the crowd because they appreciate a fighter, a man who was decidedly out of form before the test match started. He got a go on his first scoring stroke, was a smash past point, a square cut, and then he proceeded to play some lovely attacking shots, especially when the ball's in line with his pads. And he's been there a long time today. He's fought out well. He's just been very much tied down. He got his 100 just before 5 o'clock, and it's now 25 past, just after 25 past 5 Adelaide time, and he's only made another 3 runs. But nevertheless, his contribution has been a wonderful one for him and for his side, albeit a little bit slowly perhaps in various stages of it, but you've got to remember the man was out of form. His the shots through mid-wicket were a sign of class. He played 1 or 2 smashing off drives off Dilly, which were beautiful shots, and the shot that brought him 100, the ball well up outside the off stump from Edmonds. He really put the foot down and the ears back and went bang, hit the bat, hit the fence as fast as it'd go, and that's a fine way to get 100. So well played, David Boon, but equally as well played by England. They were doing a very, very good job out here this afternoon, containing Australia on a first-class batting pitch.
So Embury gets the break.
I've noticed that Mike Gatting, I think, is proposing some change. He's had a long talk to Dilly a couple of times in the last 10 minutes, and De Freitas, of course, still bowling from this River Torrens end, but I've been watching for one of the spinners to start doing some loosening up exercises, and there's no movement as yet as De Freitas comes in again. He bowls to Jones, and Jones drive. He gets that past Gow. That's a good-looking shot. Gow's off after it. He's very quick on his feet. The batsmen have 2. They'll turn for 3 as Gow gets to the ball. They'll be content with the 3, and that's the 50 for Dean Jones. Jones goes up to 52, and the total goes up to 2 for 259. Jones is 50, coming in 195 minutes off 160 balls, and he struck 5 fours. It's been a very good knock.
Very fine innings indeed, and one of the features of his play has been his driving, and he hit that slightly on the rise. It was a glorious shot to watch. In fact, I didn't think he'd really picked it up, but shortly after it left the bat, he had no real problems. He was going to pick up his 50 all right, and gave the mid-off fieldsman no real chance at all of cutting it off.
Embury in again, Border down. He swings into this. That's a good shot from Alan Border. He takes the attack to Embury, and he's hit him straight down the ground for 4. Well, he was after Embury almost before he bowled that ball, and then I think to Border's delight, he found the ball was up and hit it straight to bring up his 50. A fine 50 from the Australian captain, continuing on that great form of Perth. 50 in 108 minutes from 91 balls with 7 fours and 1 5, and it's 2 for 274.
Now to continue from the River Torrens end, it'll be the left-arm spinner Edmonds as he bowls over the wicket to Alan Border, and Border laps. No, he doesn't. He tried to. Takes him on the pad, and Jack Richards picks it up. That's a shot that he loves to play, and he plays it so well, Les. He steers it round, hits it straight into the ground.
That's right, he hits it straight in the ground. That's the most important thing. He doesn't get too many top edges, does he?
No, he's a beautiful player of that particular stroke. It's a real copybook shot that he plays as he goes forward, and that takes him on the pad. There's a loud call of catch it, and he's out. He's caught. Obviously a little bit of glove, or maybe just the finest of edges of the bat, and that looped straight up in the air, and the call of catch it. You get so used to it these days with they try on anything from the pads, but there was something in that, and Border is on his way. Australia lose their 3rd wicket. Border is out for 70, and the Australian total now 3 for 311. Border out, caught by wicketkeeper Jack Richards. Off the bowling of Edmonds for 70, and he receives a very, very warm round of applause as he makes his way back to the pavilion.
Yes, it was a pretty good innings by Alan Border today. There was no real heroics in it, but he was certainly on the lookout for runs all the time. He played the shots, the lap shots quite well. He played 1 2 lovely on drives. He played the lofted straight drive for 4, and he was quite happy to play the silent part. But he had a 51 of his own bat this morning, and he even walked. He took the ball. He didn't even really wait for the umpire. It hit the glove. There it is, yes, off the glove for sure. And Richards just moved around, took it. He took the ball, put it in the arm. Border didn't even wait. Away he went. He knew he was out. And so that's brought to end a wonderful partnership of 136 runs by Jones and Border, and a reasonable rate too, and that's been what's been so handy about it all. Alan Border's probably batted for about 150 minutes, so they batted 136. There's 151 minutes Alan Border batted. He faced 130 balls, hit 1 5 and 7 4, so it's been a good partnership. Runs coming at a good reasonable rate, and I don't think we can expect too many fireworks for the rest of this over, as that's Mark Waugh, is it, come out?
No, I think it's Greg Ritchie. It looks like
yes,
a
sorry.
Fat Cat, yeah.
It is Greg Ritchie.
Now Dilly comes in. He starts up to Jones. It's short. He tries to hook. He's caught behind. He's caught down the leg side. And Jones gives a little indication as he goes off, touching his shirt, that maybe that's where it came from. But the wicketkeeper and the umpire in absolutely no doubt that there was a deflection either from the handle of the bat or the glove as it went down the leg side. And Jones is on his way. Caught Richards rolling away with the ball on the leg side. Off the bowling of Dilly for 93. And that's bad luck really for Jones, who batted well enough for 100. But has been out, caught down the leg side. 279 minutes, 219 balls with 9 fours. Jones, 93.
Yes, it was very good innings by Jones, and just waiting for the replay to come up so we can determine just exactly what did happen there. But he didn't look all that happy about it. There was no doubt from the reaction behind the wicket that they were convinced that he'd made contact with the ball. We'll just have a look at it now, and Dilly coming in and moving inside. He's really gone the big... Oh, well, no further comment there, but I think that if we look at the replay very carefully...
Have a look at it on this angle, from the bowler's angle. It might give us a better idea.
Different situation. The ball short, getting into position and really going the big hit. And it was either a glove or around about the chest. It was around about the chest area, but from the front on angle, it did appear as if it could have just touched the glove.
And De Freitas runs in again and bowls to Ritchie, who hits him in the air again. He's going to be caught at mid-off by Broad, and he is. Well, a shame for Ritchie getting himself out there, I think, really in the cause of quicker runs for Australia, and I wouldn't blame him for that, but it was an injudicious stroke, certainly. The previous ball, he'd taken a bit of a chance hitting it on the up in the air, and that time he didn't middle it, and he paid the penalty straight to mid-off. And so Ritchie, as I say, falls in the cause of quicker runs. He's got 36 off 56 balls in 82 minutes with 3 fours, and Australia have lost their 5th wicket at 368, and De Freitas has got his first, for which he's worked exceedingly hard. Eric.
Yes, disappointing then from Ritchie. Christopher, you wrapped him up the ball before because it was a delightful shot, and we're just watching the replay now, and he didn't really get his feet anywhere near the ball, and it wasn't pitched up quite as far as the previous delivery, and he lofted it out to that wide mid-off position.
As a matter of fact, Eric, sorry to interrupt, he didn't hit it as straight either, did he? He was trying to hit it over mid-on, I think, and that's probably why he didn't. If he'd gone through the shot over mid-off, he would have been all right, didn't he?
Yes, I thought it might have been just a little bit shorter than the previous delivery, but as you say, the Australians, and he may be getting a little bit frustrated with the way that Greg Matthews has been playing, because Matthews has been facing probably 4 to 5 deliveries every over, and he's only been out, well, he's been out there quite some time for his 6 runs, and they've probably been all singles. And I think it's probably Greg Matthews more than anything that got Ritchie out. But Australia now at 5 for 368. They wouldn't want to lose their wickets fairly cheaply from now on, and really give in to the English bowlers, who really have toiled very hard. We saw a round of applause when Ritchie hit that last 4, and I think it may have been also for Philip De Freitas, because he's now got his century at 1 for 101. Graham Dilly is rapidly approaching that at 1 for 95, but Border out for 70, Jones 93, Ritchie 36. All the Australians have got a start. Only Boone perhaps getting on with it with his 103, but Dean Jones's performance today was tremendous.
Now Edmonds coming in again from the River Torrens end, and he's pushed away by Matthews out into the gap on the onside. That'll be single. The sweeper out there on that deep mid-wicket boundary is Alan Lamb. He throws a good return in, but Matthews helps himself to 2 runs and goes to yet another half-century in Test cricket. Salutes the pavilion. He really is quite happy about it, and that's the showman style of Greg Matthews that we've also grown to expect. But it's been a good knock. After he got past about 15, he's hit the ball with a great deal of authority. Matthews on 51, War 47, 17 sundries. Australia now 5 for 460. Matthews to settle again. And he goes and meets Edmonds and hits the ball down the ground again, down to long on, to the John Criswell stand. And De Freitas, as we mentioned to you a moment or two ago, is down there. So he takes the easiest of singles. 460 for the loss of 5. Matthews 50 coming up in 157 minutes. Faced 107 deliveries and struck 2 fours. And as Embury comes in to deliver another blow to Matthews and to Waugh, and Waugh pushes up towards mid-off, takes off for the single and gets it, and there's his half-century. So Steve Waugh, not far behind Matthews in the half-century department, signals to his teammates in the pavilion. He's obviously very, very happy with the proceedings as well. Waugh is 50, Matthews 53. It's 5 for 465. These two have now put on 97 runs in that partnership. And the details of Waugh's 50 coming up in 98 minutes of 93 deliveries, and he struck 5 fours. So as drinks come onto the Adelaide Oval, Australia are 5 for 465.
Matthews, as usual, fidgety and restless, quite incapable of just walking back to bowl. He has to do something. This occasion it was rubbing his palm on the ground. Shuffles his feet a couple of times, and he comes in right arm off spin and bowls to Athey. That is outside the off stump, and it turned back just a little bit, and Athey was in position to cut, and then with 2 close men in there and knowing that the ball's turning just a bit, decided that discretion was the better part of valour.
You know, it'd be an interesting game of cricket if you had Edmonds bowling at one end and Matthews at the other, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. You would. He wouldn't get quite as fast an over edge as you sometimes do with spinners. He bows again. That's... Oh, that is a good delivery. It turns and beats Athey's intended on drive. Misses the stumps as well. Goes for more buys, but Dyer can't be blamed. And that really was the classic off-spinning delivery, and that did turn.
He touched it too.
And he touched it, so he gets his 50. I beg Dyer's pardon, but it was the thinnest little edge onto it, and quite fortunate, really, that it missed the leg stump. And if I were Matthews, I think that would induce me, Les, to bring a leg slip or a backward short leg in.
I'm sure you're right.
The 100 comes up simultaneously with Athey's 50. 102. It's come up in 128 minutes off the 4th ball of the 34th over. And the last 50 has come up in 78 minutes.
That was well nigh the perfect off break that Greg Matthews bowled. He brought Athey forward. And I had the glasses on, and I didn't think he touched it. Obviously, he got the inside edge. I was about to say, when the thing settled down, that I thought that probably Greg Dyer had missed a stumping, but the ball had taken the inside edge and just diverted away from him. He must have been very close to bowling the batsman as well. But nevertheless, that's been a pretty good 50 by Bill Athey.
Now the right-arm leg spinner comes back into the attack from the river end. Sleep, and he bowls to Athey, and Athey's bowled. Bowled in. Athey went back, gave himself a little bit of room. That's got right through his defences. He really knew nothing about that. He's been watching him off the track. This time it comes under the bat and he's bowled him. Athey is out, bowled by Sleep for 55. England lose their first wicket with 112 runs on the board.
That ball was a full length. It was too far up to cut. And I fancy that Athey might have got an inside edge onto this. I'm just trying to, as I'm talking to you, I'm trying to watch if it's going to be a replay, but a ball of full length up outside the off stump, and he went back to cut it, and the shot was never on. It was a bad choice of shot, and he's paid the penalty. And of course the local crowd are absolutely delighted that Peter Sleep should get a wicket in the first ball of what was his 14th over, I think it was.
Some details on Athey's innings. He was there for 139 minutes for his 55. He faced 100 balls and hit 5 fours.
Reed bowls again, and Broad shuffles across and turns it around the corner to bring up his half-century. Down towards Ritchie in the deep. Just a single, and that's a good half-century by the England opener. Following on from his 162 in Perth. Broad is 50, Gatting 14, and at the same time that Broad brings up his 50, and there's an applause around the ground for it. There's a bit of a burst out here on the hill alongside me. Lunch is just starting to settle in on top of a couple of cold ones. And it's Reed on his way again. He bowls to Gatting. Gatting cuts and misses. He went to heave that short and wide ball past point, but he missed. And Dyer took it. Broad's 50 in 162 minutes from 133 balls with 5 fours.
Matthews continues from the cathedral end, bowls to Gatting, who comes down the wicket and lofts it high over mid-wicket. A magnificent strike by Gatting. One bounce over the fence near the George Giffen stand. Tremendous strike from Gatting, and takes him to 18. 1 for 137.
Gatting certainly getting on with the job, Roger. he wants to get on top of this spin attack if he possibly can, and he's done it quite successfully. He's a very good player against spin, whether it be leg spin or the orthodox off spin.
He bangs the bat on the crease and waits on Matthews. Wants to come down the wicket. He pulls this one through mid-wicket. That'll be 4. A powerful stroke by England captain Mike Gatting, and Geoff Marsh at short leg went to ground very, very quickly. Short ball turning into the right-hander, and the strong arms of Gatting went to work, and suddenly he's raced to 22, 1 for 141.
It wasn't all that short either, and Matthews was very upset that he should have the hide to play a shot like that, but he certainly middled it in position very quickly and kept the ball along the ground. It was a fine stroke.
Watching his feet, Gatting, his initial movement is to come forward, then he went back, so his movement is there in his feet. Stocky build of Gatting. He comes forward and defends, is rolling the wrist. It goes out to short square leg. Marsh trots off after it and picks it up, bowls it back to Matthews. So the steadier for Greg Matthews, getting down the wicket. So after the settling down period after lunch, the crowd is starting to buzz now with the battle between spin and Gatting. He bowls again. He swings another one high through mid-wicket. That'll be 4 more. The third in the third boundary in the over by Mike Gatting. An explosive pull stroke again. He goes to 26. Broad is 55. 1 for 145.
Look, applies a little bit of spittle to the ball. Rubs it vigorously. Looks up to check the score on the scoreboard and turns. Little shuffle of the feet, and then he breaks into a more even stride, rather rolling run, and he bowls to Gatting, who dabs him up short of mid-on. Reid is the fielder, but he can't prevent Gatting getting his 50th run out of England's 207 for 1. And Gatting's 50 coming in the end in 101 minutes off 75 balls with 8 fours. But Norman, it would be interesting to know how many balls he'd got to 47 of. 51. So that is extraordinary, isn't it? His last 3 runs have taken him another 50 balls. Sorry, no. 24 balls, yes. Thank you.
Hughes goes in again. Broad waits for him, and he strokes it out through the covers. He's on the way to his century. That ball racing out towards the boundary. I don't think Jones will cut it off. He slides after it and slams into the fence. The ball beats him. So Chris Broad gets his century. That's probably not as memorable as the one that he scored over in Perth, but gee, it's still a big contribution to his side. Mike Gatting comes up and claps him on the back and says, well done, opening batsman. That's a fine performance by Chris Broad. Centuries in successive test matches. Broad 103 and England 1 for 221. The figures for Broad, his 100 coming up in 259 minutes. He faced 232 deliveries, hit 1 6 and 11 fours.
And that was a very fine stroke too, to get it bring him his 100. Just leaning on it and placing it between cover and cover point for 4.
War. About 10 paces straight up. Broad gets a short ball and pulls it, and he's caught it mid-wicket. Caught by Marsh. A fine catch, and that's about the only way you're going to get a wicket out there. It was short, and he pulled it out of the meat, but he found the fieldsman. It was Marsh who took the catch low down. Broad is out for 116, caught by Marsh from War, and it's 2 for 273.
Well, one thing we can say about Marsh is that he doesn't lose his concentration. We saw a brilliant piece of fielding from him a couple of overs back, where he dived and saved what could have been a certain 4, threw the stumps down at the other end, and that was a very neat catch, because Broad went back to a ball that was pitched, let's say, around about off stump, and got into position very well to pull. The ball didn't get up quite as high as I think he anticipated, and as a result he did get it in the meat, and it flew low to the left-hand side of Marsh, and he picked up a neat and tidy catch. Well, the Australians have waited a long time for that to happen. We just have another look at that. Oh yes, it was fairly short, and he's really got inside it and hit it with the meat of the bat. I'm looking at the replay now, and a lovely catch by Marsh, who dived to his left. But now Gatting, who's played so very well, and from the time he came in, as did his opposing captain Border, he's kept the game alive by playing some extremely fine shots. And even now in the 90s, he's trying to keep the run scoring rate going, and it wouldn't be at all surprising to see him endeavour to hit one in the air over the inside fieldsman here to bring up his century. He's only 4 short of that at the moment.
Getting on 96. Sleep to bowl to him from the river end. And he starts in now. That short approach to the wicket, and he bowls to Gatting, who goes down after him and thumps it straight down the ground for 4 runs. Down to the river end. The ball will thump into the boundary now, and a century for Mike Gatting, the England captain. He goes to 100. England are now 2 for 283. Fine batting by Gatting. He's been there just on the stroke of 3 hours to get that century. 180 minutes, 140 balls, 15 fours, and he really does lead by inspiration, the English skipper. He came to the wicket, started to thrash the Australian bowling, and that's a very well-deserved century. People settling again now. The crowd must have enjoyed this. It's been superb to watch. As Sleep comes in and bowls to Gatting again, and Gatting gives himself room and plays it out to mid-wicket, and he's caught. Very next ball after his century, he's been caught as he tried to pull that ball away. Steve Waugh, who has had a sensational game, was there to receive the catch. Mike Gatting is out, caught by Waugh off the bowling of Sleep for 100, and England now 3 for 283.
Well, I think that was probably on the cards. Gatting was treating the bowling with contempt. He had no respect at all for any of the bowlers, and I think that he's probably fortunate that he didn't get that same delivery of the ball before. It could have been the same result, because he's been playing exactly the same way right through, but instead he moved down the track and lofted one to the boundary on the onside to bring up a well-deserved 100. He played some lovely shots during his stay at the wicket and gave the Australian bowlers really no time to settle down and to gain length and line. So it was a very fine performance by him.
In goes Waugh, and he's dropped it slip. Taking a slash at it outside the off stump, and Boone, who's had to concentrate hard all day, got his hands to it high to his right. The ball cannoned off them and has gone down, and they've run 3 runs. And another slip catch goes down. Australia's slip catching has not been all that reliable in this series so far. Boone hangs his head in shame, chagrin, and a disappointment both for himself and his side. So it's 299 for 3 wickets, and really England drop 1 or 2 chances, and they're so few and far between on a wicket like this that you cannot afford to miss them.
The unfortunate part about that was he had such a good view of it. It was wide of the off stump. He threw the bat at it, and it went head high to Boone, and well, as slip catches go, it was pretty straightforward because he had such a good view of it.
As Hughes goes in and bowls to him, and he's lofted that. Is this a chance? It is. He's caught by Matthews. Lamb is out. He fended that away out into the covers. Matthews has moved round about 5 or 10 metres away to his left to accept the easiest of chances offered by Alan Lamb. So Lamb is out for... I'm just waiting for the scoreboard to put his score up. Alan Lamb is out, caught by Matthews off the bowling of Hughes for 14, and England are now 4 for 341.
Well, that ball was shortish. That Lamb got on the back foot to try and smash it over the offside. I thought he didn't certainly didn't go where he wanted to. Got high on the bat and has come down towards mid-off, between mid-off and cover, and Matthews moving to his left executed quite a neat but easy catch. And it's all for Alan Lamb, and he really hasn't looked in very good touch all day. That partnership was worth 58 runs, and he didn't make too many of them. He certainly had some on the board, I think, when Gower came in.
Well, it's amazing how suddenly you can get onto the edge of your seat with this game of cricket. I'm not saying that the game is nerve-tingling, but a wicket or 2 would bring this game very much more alive than it was an hour or so ago. Now, Bruce Reid to continue as he comes in from the river end. He's bowling to David Gower, and Gower drives, or was there just all Paddy's out, LBW. No bat in that. Gower shuffling across, that struck him cleanly on the pad. I thought there might have been a bit of bat in it. Of course, he's got his back to us and obscured it slightly. But umpire Steve Randall gets the finger in the air. Gower is out. LBW to Reid. LBW to Reid for 38. LBW to Reid for 38. England now 5 for 341.
Well, as we've been told, he does have his back to us, but it was a ball of very full length. It looked fairly adjacent to me, but I'm just waiting as I'm talking to you. He hit 5 fours in that innings. He only faced 41 deliveries, and it really was a gem of a knock by David Gower. But they're not going to give us a replay. This is just so he can see.
I think they will, Les. They'll just let him walk off, and I think we'll see the replay in just a moment or two, and I'm sure that our many listeners through Radio Australia, through the BBC and round Australia on the ABC will be interested in what you see.
Well, certainly. I gave him out from where I sat because if there was bat in it, Well, I see that he hit him on the back pad, I thought, didn't you? But hit him on the back pad, he was certainly out.
Hit him on the back pad, all right, but just watching that replay, you can understand the drama of the commentator,
Yes.
because it would have been one that only the umpire would have had a really good look at. With his back to us, he shovelled across the crease and played the line of the ball, I thought, but it's missed the bat and struck him on the back pad, so he's out. Reid from the River End bowls to Whittaker again, and Whittaker edges and he's caught brilliantly. No drop by Border. Well, I thought Border had held on to that. The ball went to hand. It would have been a slashing catch if he'd have held on to it. And it was there for oh so long, or at least that's the way it seemed to me, Norm.
Well,
and suddenly it spilt.
Well, I'm sure that, you know, it was obvious to me that he'd caught it. In any case, he seems to have injured himself, has he, or is he just disappointed?
I think disappointment.
Might have winded himself or something as well. But that was incredible. I thought that he had that under control. And when he hit the ground, it seemed to bubble out. I think the elbows jarring on the ground might have knocked it over. I just missed out in the replay. Did you see that?
Yes, actually, I think what's happened, why I lost sight of the ball for so long, is as he went to the ground, he dropped it and the ball was under him. And it just it rolled out from under the body eventually. I really thought he'd clutched that. It would have been a superb catch. Had to dive hard to his left. Oh, yeah, that was the ball before. Let's concentrate on this one as Whittaker hoiks that in the air, and he'll be out this time. Under it is the fieldsman. That just coming off the top edge down to Matthews at mid-off. He was given the lead-off, and in the very next ball, he gets a top edge with a nothing shot. Matthews takes the catch. So Whittaker is out, caught by Matthews, off the bowling of Reid for 11, and England now 6 for 361.
Well, poor old Reid, that was justified. He's been really bowling well right throughout this game with a great deal of life. He seems to me to have put a lot more into his bowling in this last couple of days, all day yesterday and again here this morning. And it has been a very, very good performance by him, and we see that shot being played. He's out in a similar manner to the way that Lamb got out, with Lamb trying to pull the ball through the mid-wicket area, and the ball coming on a lot faster than he thought. And the same applied to Whittaker, and both players out, caught by the same fieldsman, incidentally, Matthews, who was fielding in the mid-off position. But that was the wicket that Australia wanted and really needed, and I'm sure that they would have liked to have got that wicket much earlier in the day. We've been going now almost 45 minutes, and I'm sure that even so, they're pleased to see one of them leave the scene. But there's still a lot of batting to get through.
Now it's Sleep going into bowl to Richards. Richards swings at this. He's top-edged it. He should be caught by Jones. He's under it. He takes it. He tried to sweep against the spin. He wasn't over it. And Richards thumps his bat into the ground in annoyance at playing a very injudicious sweep shot. Top-edging, out for 29. Caught Jones, bowled Sleep, and it's 7 for 422.
Well, I think that given a choice, that's the man that the Australians would have liked to have seen leave the crease. Embury's causing problems. He's annoying, I should imagine, to the Australian attack and also the fieldsman, and particularly Border, the captain. But just at the time when Jack Richards looked as if he was going to tear this attack apart, he made a mistake going down on one leg to try and sweep that ball from Sleep, which probably could have, Jim, hit some footmarks just outside the leg stump. And going against a spin, it's always very dangerous. But he's paid the penalty for that stroke, and I'm sure the Australians are pleased to see him as he's now walking up towards the dressing room.
Reid back into the attack, bowls to Embry on 49. And he beats him outside the off stump. In fact, he's got an edge and he's out. A beautiful delivery from Reid. A low catch to the right by Dyer. And so Embry doesn't get his half century. He walked. And so the first ball from Reid coming back, he's got his third wicket and has taken 3 for 55. Embry departs the Adelaide Oval. 162 minutes for his 49 off 118 balls and 6 fours. John Embry caught Dyer, who gets his first catch in Test cricket. Bowled Bruce Reid. 49. It's England 8 for 439.
Well done, Embury. That was a very, very valuable innings for England, and he's getting the rightful applause that one should get under those circumstances. He was out there a long time. He didn't do anything sensational. He created a few laughs, but I think that most of the knowledgeable cricket fans who were here at the South Australian ground appreciate that that was a fine innings by him, and one which could have saved England the embarrassing situation that they could have been in had he gone early this morning. Now, getting back to that dismissal, it was great to see Reid pick up that wicket. That is his third. He's taken 3 for 55, and he's bowled 25 overs. He's into his 25th now, and it's been a great performance by him. That ball was just short of a half volley. Embry didn't try to attack it. He played on the front foot, got the outside edge, and the ball kept fairly low. I didn't think at one stage it was going to carry, but Dyer was very swift, moved across, and picked it up only a few inches from the ground. It was a fine piece of fielding catching by Dyer, and a good delivery by the most versatile and impressive bowler that Australia has in their bowling attack at the moment. Good to see Reid pick up another wicket, and good to see Dyer doing so well behind the stumps.
Sleeps ready again from the Cathedral end as he goes in and bowls to Edmonds, and he pushes that one up, and that's off the edge, is it? It's pushed away and he's given out. This time Border snatches the catch. Edmonds is out, caught by Border off the bowling of Sleep for 13. England now 9 for 454. He pushed forward to that. He's pushed the catch straight to the silly point Border. So the 9th wicket falls for England. Just one to go.
Yes, well, that was a very good catch by Border. As we were saying earlier, there was a bit of doubt in one that he tried to take earlier from that position, but he was very alert then and concentrating to the fullest. And that ball, I'd just like to see whether that actually came from the edge or whether it was an inside edge onto the pad. Let's have a look at it. Here he comes forward now, and I think it might have been inside edge. I'm sure it was, onto the pad. And there was no doubt in the minds of all the fieldsmen around the bat. We've seen them go up like that before.
So Drinks coming onto the Adelaide Oval now with the fall of that wicket. The score here, England now 9 for 454. Edmonds 13, taking 26 minutes. He faced 28 deliveries and struck 1-4.
Reid bowls again. Dilly gets it. He's bowled him straight through him. A full toss, which he missed, and it hit the leg stump. And Dilly wasn't able to get his bat down on it, and so England all out for 455. Dilly out for a duck, bowled by Reid, who finishes with 4 for 64.
It's De Freitas now going smoothly and to bowl to Boone. Appeals for LBW and not out. Boone was well forward, and the ball, in any case, possibly struck him just outside the line of the off stump. Whether he was actually definitely playing a shot is perhaps a moot point, but certainly a good and clear decision there by umpire Crafter. A very optimistic appeal, in fact. De Freitas with 3 slips in the gully, cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and long leg. Goes in again from this Cathedral end. He bowls to Boone, and Boone is hit on the pad again. There's another appeal, and again not out. Boone not too keen to look at the umpire there, which sometimes suggests that the batsman thinks he's a bit closer. He went for a little walk around his stumps. May just on that occasion have been lifting a bit too high, but again it hit him on the front pad. De Freitas probably would have got the umpire's decision once or twice in the first innings off no balls. That was when he was bowling from the other end, but now he comes in. And a third appeal for LBW, and this time Boone is out. Umpire Randall raises his finger, and De Freitas, who had such frustration against Boone in the first innings, has got him out in the second. And Boone 3 times coming across his stumps. Quite rightly, I think, getting the benefit of the doubt on the first 2 occasions, but that time it did look, Eric, fairly plumb.
Yes, I thought it was fairly plumb. That ball kept a lot lower. The previous 2 deliveries hit him on the roll or just above the roll of the pad, and he was playing forward, and the ball was just pitched outside the line of the off stump. But that delivery, I thought, hit right on off stump. We're just watching the replay now, and it kept a lot lower, right under the roll of the pad, and perhaps right in front of the middle stump. So David Boone has been dismissed. Well, we've seen him have a run of outs in the first 2 test matches. He soon rectified that with a brilliant century in the first innings, making 103. But once again, he's fallen foul of a very low score, being dismissed for no score, and being hit on the pad 3 times in successive deliveries from Philip De Freitas. And De Freitas and Dilly already in this first 2 overs of the Australian innings, to me, have shown a little bit more desire, a little bit more fire, and perhaps the Englishmen are really after the Australians, and perhaps if they can get 2 or 3 very quick wickets, well, then the pressure's back on Australia, because they only lead by 59 on the first innings, and with 2 of the best spinners in the game, in Edmonds and Embury, especially bowling in tandem with one another, then they could put a fair bit of pressure back on Australia in the afternoon session.
Dilly again at the top of his run at that far River Torrens or City end, comes in and bowls again to Jones, and that's a nasty delivery, and he's caught by Lamb, running in from square leg. And that was an absolute brute of a ball, and suddenly Graham Dilly is getting some really nasty bounce from that end. That was, if you understand my meaning, a Bob Willis type ball. It got up off not far short of length, just a bit short. Jones went back to it and it came up to his face, and he really, in order to preserve his head, he had to play at that, and it came up, I should think, off the bat handle, certainly the very top of the bat, and just lobbed up for Lamb to run in and catch it. So Australia are 2 wickets down for 8. Jones caught Lamb, bowled Dilly 2.
What a great delivery that was. It wasn't all that short either, and I don't think really that Marsh had any option but the... I'm sorry, it wasn't Marsh, it was Jones. I don't think he had really any option but to play at that. He started off to go back onto the back foot to move inside and play, and it seemed to come back at him. And the ball lifted very, very sharply, and he was caught in 2 minds as to whether to try and play it or let it go. But he'd already committed himself at that stage. And unfortunately, when he did get the bat to the ball, it flew straight to short backward square leg. So that's a wonderful breakthrough for England. And you know, if things continued on their way as things are at the moment, we could find that England might be in a chance of with a chance of winning this game. But that was a very nasty delivery indeed, and Dilly has bowled with a great deal of fire in the Australian second innings, and he deserves to pick up wickets too, because in my opinion he's been the best of the medium fast bowlers in the England side.
A little bit murky here in Adelaide late afternoon. It's been a beautiful day. I bet there'll be some sunburned people around in Adelaide tomorrow. We've had more than a dose out there on the banks and this beautiful Adelaide Oval as Edmonds comes in and bowls to Marsh now, and Marsh drives into the pitch, and on the bounce it goes back. No, in fact, he's caught and bowled him. Well, that was all too simple. All too simple. I should have paid a little bit more attention, I suppose. That was really so regulation that he just tapped it back. I thought he must have driven it into the wicket, and then all of a sudden Marsh belted himself on the pad and started to walk, and he continues to walk too. So Australia lose their 3rd wicket. Marsh out for 41. He's been caught and bowled by Edmonds for 41. Is at the wicket for 142 minutes, faced 95 deliveries, struck 5 fours. Australia now 3 for 77. In comes the bowler Embury, and he bowls to Border, and Border plays that backward of square for a single. So Alan Border gets his 21st Test century. The small crowd here at the Adelaide Oval will at least remember the 5th day of this Test match for a good knock by Alan Border. Another lead by inspiration day for the Australian skipper. Alan Border 100 coming up in 297 minutes, 247 deliveries. He struck 11 fours. So that's another great skipper's knock to Alan Border. He's 100. Australia are 3 for 201.
Yes, well played. It's all but 5 hours he's been out there. He came to the wicket when Australia were 2 for 8, and he steered them out of trouble again, which is something he's done on so many occasions. And I suppose it was just as sure as the sun might shine tomorrow, will shine tomorrow, I hope, that he would make 100 today without... It's one of those occasions when Border didn't have to worry too much about pushing along. He has to sit back and wait for the bad ball, and that's something he does so very well. And well played, Alan Border, a 21st Test match century.
As Hughes bowls to Athey, and this time he's caught behind, trying to hook. This time it was a very fine edge, bottom edge, well taken by Dye, who is running across, always awkward those. Hugs Merv Hughes, Athey's on his way, caught Dyer, bowled Hughes for 12, England 1 for 21.
Matthews got a very attacking field on this occasion.
He bowls to Gatting, and Gatting goes back, and he's bowled him, first ball, and isn't Matthews happy? He leaps away out onto the offside, and Gatting went back to give himself room. It kept a little bit low, there was turn there also, and Mike Gatting, 100 in the first innings, out for the Golden Duck, is on his way, England 2 for 22.
Well, what a performance. You have passed it over to me, but as I said, it's different circumstances. He's bowling to a very attacking field, and well, Mike Gatting has been dismissed for naught, This was a great roar went up because when he came out, he took a long while to come out onto the ground. Usually the batsman pass coming through the gate, but the other batsman was up in the pavilion. We're just seeing the replay now. Yes, the ball was pitched outside of the off stump. He laid back to cut it, missed it by a mile, and it's hit 3 parts of the way up the middle stump. And the fieldsman, in particular Matthews, I think he must have sprinted some 20 or 30 metres with thrusting his fist into the air, and certainly a very happy bowler was Matthews.
G'day, Patrick Stack here. Did I mention it's an Ashes year? Well, it is. Sports Daily is the best way to get the latest news and look beyond the headlines as the Aussies battle for that little urn.
Sports Daily, weekdays from 6:30 on ABC Radio.
ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of AFL.
Hello, it's time to step back into the ABC Sport archive now and the 4th test of the 1986-87 Ashes series from the MCG, a test that will be remembered as the test of Gladstone Small.
Small looking a bit nervous at the moment, runs in, bowls, and he's caught at second slip. Boone went forward, and Botham is back in the act very early on because it was he who took the catch at tummy height. A nice, comfortable slip catch, and Boone out shaking his head now as he walks towards the pavilion.
6 men on the offside for Botham, who bowls. Short Marsh. Oh, is caught behind by Richards. A beautiful catch. A bouncing delivery from Botham. Marsh went for the hook stroke. It was faster. Top edge. Richards up, and he dragged it down from above his head with both gloves. A beautiful catch by Richards. And as Ray Bright was just saying, you can't keep Botham out. He has a wicket in his first over.
Botham bowls again. It's short and it's cut, and it's almost caught. It's caught by Richards. He's taken the catch. Botham dropping short again. Border going to cut. A bottom edge and a good catch low down by Richards.
In comes De Freitas again. Smoothly in. Loose mover. Bowls to Jones. Jones moves across his stumps and plays him away between mid-on and square leg for 2 runs. Broad picks the ball up now, and they decide against the 3rd run. And there is Dean Jones' 50th, which, although it may have had its blemishes, is in the circumstances, I think, a very good innings.
Close to, or if not in excess of 60,000. A small ball short, and Botham catches him at second slip. Botham's in it again. Waugh fending one, and Botham low to his left takes a superb catch. Waugh caught Botham, bowled Small for 10.
Goes up and bowls, and he cocks it up in the air. He's caught. He's caught. He pushed forward at that. Jones getting a leading edge. The ball stood up a little bit, took the leading edge, and went lolling up in the air towards Gar at mid-off, who had a simple catch.
Moves in again from that far southern end. He bowls to Sleep, and is he caught behind? Yes, he is. Caught by Richards off Small, and the hapless Sleep.
And here's Botham. He bowls to Zura. Oh, he's bowled him. Let it go, and it came back and hit the off stump. Botham has his 3rd wicket. Zura bowled Botham for 5 as Botham bowls short. Pulled by McDermott, up in the air. Is it going to fall safely? Richards is running back. Will he get there? Yes, he does. Sensational catch by Jack Richards. He runs halfway to the boundary at long leg, and Richards takes his 4th catch. Botham has his 4th wicket. Australia 8 for 133.
He's on 2. Botham bowls again, and he swings, and he's caught behind here. He's caught behind. He lost patience. Botham pitched it up wide of the off stump. Merv Hughes couldn't restrain himself, launched the big drive. It took the outside edge, and Botham, would you believe it, has 5 wickets in an innings, and it's Small bowls, and he edges it straight to second slip. Botham takes the catch. Small finishes with 5 wickets. Botham's taken 3 catches and 5 wickets. A great finish for Gladstone Small. Australia all out for 141.
Here's Reid bowling, and that wraps him on the pad. Appeal for LBW, he's out. Yes, Australia has its 1st wicket. Athey, LBW to Reid for 21. Broad is 31. England 1 for 58.
Now it's Reid who bowls. It's short, and it's swung in the air down there, and he's caught. First ball. So at last, some luck for Australia. First ball after lunch. Gatting hooked the short ball down to Hughes, and Hughes coming forward took the catch in front of him.
comes Reid. He bowls to Broad again, and Broad pushes him to mid-wicket, and this is going to be his 100th run. Sleep, in fact, overruns it at mid-on. Chris Broad waves his bat to the crowd and then shakes his head in joy at having got over the nervous 90s and become the first English batsman since the war to get 300s in a test series against Australia, a 5-match test series, that is.
He's definitely in there trying, and I think he's Australia a chance to pick up a wicket here.
Hughes bowls to Broad.
Caught behind! He's caught behind! He flashed at the ball that got the outside edge. The wicket goes to Merv Hughes. Paul Hibbert, well, he wins the prize there for sure.
Around the wicket from the members' pavilion end. He bowls to the left-hander Gow, who swings into this one. It's hard and high down the ground. Matthews from mid-off, coming round, gets underneath and takes the catch. Gow is out, caught by Matthews from the bowling of Sleep for 7.
Reid again.
And he beats him outside the off stump. He's caught. He went to drive and he's caught. He tried to fan it through the offside, and at last Reid wins the battle with Lamb.
5 for 273. McDermott bowls and he's slashed and he's caught behind. Both of them is out. Caught behind by Zura from the bowling of McDermott for 29. England 6 for 273. Both of them is disappointed with himself. He's out. Caught Zura. Bowled McDermott for 29. McDermott has his first wicket for 45, and the breakthrough has come in the second over with the new ball. I think Australia are back in this game. Reid's the sort of guy who can get 2 wickets in an over, and let's hope for Australia's sake he can. Reid bowls.
There's
and
one of
he's
them.
Caught. Ball played to mid-on, and the catch has been taken. Is it Marsh there? I think it is. And Richards is out, and it's 7 for 277. Richards caught Marsh, bowled Reid for 3.
Might encourage McDermott to drop another one short. 7 for 289. McDermott comes in. De Freitas is back, and he whips it in the air, and he's caught by Matthews. Great catch.
He flipped that in the air behind square, and Matthews, moving half a pace to his right, grabbed the catch. The ball was really shifting. A beautifully poised judged catch at backward square, and it's now 8 for 289.
Then comes McDermott, bowls the ball a full length, and it's driven back by Embury, and he's caught and bowled. McDermott throws the ball high in the air. It was a good catch, a reaction catch.
Well, really, a one-day cricket shot. Why would he play it with 1 over to go?
McDermott bowls, and
Edmonds is forward, hit on the boot and appeal. He's out, LBW. And McDermott stands there glaring away. A great song and dance routine after getting the LBW and his 4th wicket of the innings in the final over of the day.
Tim, I think it's been our best bowling day of the series. I think the bowlers have bowled to the plans we've been trying to get them to bowl to all season. I think the fielding has backed them up very, very well indeed. And it just shows you if these bowlers we have got do bowl the line and length that they're supposed to bowl, they've got the ability to do the job for Australia.
Well, when things were at their deepest and darkest, did you still have a target that you'd like to try and knock England over for?
We were hoping to knock them over for 250, 300 this morning when we went out there. I think in general we've done a good job, even allowing for the fact a couple of chances were missed in the first session, not easy ones. And then there's been a lot of plays and misses. I don't know how many times the ball's passed the bat. But in general, I think we'd be pretty happy now if we could knock the last 3 batsmen over for not too many more runs.
Very frustrated if you can't, no doubt. Bruce Reid, statistically with the honours, you mentioned the bowlers. Do you think he's been the best of them?
I think so, but I think you'd have to couple his name with Peter Sleep. Peter's been very, very unlucky out there. There's been a lot of near chances, catches just dropping over the head of fieldsmen and short of fieldsmen. In general, I think Peter and Bruce have been the pick, but we should also make mention, I think, also of the marvellous spell put in by the big local boy here in Victoria, Merv Hughes, and probably also Craig McDermott bowl as well as I've seen him bowl.
Well, is the fight for the Ashes still alive?
It certainly is. This wicket's getting better and better. There's still a mile of runs in it, and we've got 3 days. Hopefully our batsmen can perform just about 400% better than they did in the first innings and get a score which allow us to have a chance of bowling England out.
Small comes in from the southern end and bowls. He's caught. Small gets Spoon caught at slip. Bit of turn for Embury. Up he comes again now. Bowls to Marsh, bit short this time, and Marsh turns it round the corner for his 50. What a good innings this has been. down towards the fine leg boundary. Small picks the ball up on the run. In fact, overruns it, and they complete a third run. Congratulations to Jeff Marsh. Comes Embry again. He really hustles that one through. It's quite a quick delivery. There could be a run out here. The throw coming in, and he's run out. Oh, what irony. The throw coming from Chris Broad, and possibly unsettled by what had gone on 2 or 3 balls before. Marsh played the ball into the offside. Broad picked it up. There was a yes, no, wait, and then they were both stranded, and Marsh had no chance of getting back, provided Broad kept his head and returned it.
Embury bowls. Matthews forward. It hits the pad. He's bowled him. He's bowled him. Hit the pad and hit the off stump. And Matthews is out. Bowled. Allowing the ball to pass. It flicked the pad and hit the off stump. And he's been bowled by Embury for a duck.
Edmonds pitches up or drives to the onside, or Sleep backing up. And the throw and is run out by Edmonds. Beautiful bit of cricket by Gower. He picked the ball up beautifully coming from mid-wicket. The ball driven firmly by Waugh. Sleep started to run and bowls, and that's catch it cry as Athey takes it and Zura walks. Well, a sporting gesture by Zura. He just didn't wait for the umpire. He turned as Athey dived forward and took a very smart catch at forward short leg. Zura turned and went straight to the pavilion. Out caught Athey, bowled Edmonds for 1. Waugh is 45.
In comes Edmonds and bowls, gives that a lot of air. Straight bowls him. Well bowled Edmonds. That was a good bit of bowling indeed. Held it back. Waugh went down to drive for the run that would have got his 50. But the ball turned just enough. Beat him half in the air and half on the turn as he drove over the top of it. Bowlers blazing their guns as Embry bowls him. Forward went McDermott. The ball went on with the arm and knocked out the middle and off bail, which goes down on the offside. Botham goes to collect the ball, which had run down to third man. Then comes Edmonds, and he swings this. Actually, it's a good sweep, but he's going to be caught, and England have won the Ashes. Caught by Gladstone Small, and what an appropriate ending, because Small, I think, will probably be named man of the match.
Oh, I don't like losing any game, whether I'm captaining or not. It's just, I don't know, I feel quite numb about it. I don't really feel anything. You know, I'm disappointed, obviously, but, you know, there's no point in sort of getting distraught. I've just got to keep hanging in there, and hopefully things will turn for the better. I'm determined to sort of see it out, and hopefully things will get better.
The Assembly.
What would your dying wish be?
Endgame with Tony Armstrong, Annabelle Crabb's Civic Duty, and I Was Actually There.
The smoke itself was igniting.
All these and more. Always free, always compelling. ABC iView.
ABC Sport Digital Radio. Your home of football.
Hello, it's time to step back into the ABC Sport archive now in the 1986-87 Ashes series, the 5th test at the SCG. It featured a debut for Australian spinner Peter Taylor. It was also Ian Botham's final test match in Australia, and not the finish he wanted.
Embury in, Jones shuffles, wants a single, he gets it, here's his 150. Well played, Dean Jones. 150, not out. He keeps the strike. He salutes the crowd, and in typical fashion of all the cricketers in the last 12 months, he acknowledges the applause from the direction of the Australian dressing room. And the scoreboard tells us, with lots of flashing lights, good one, Dean Jones, 150 runs, and it's 8 for 290.
Here's Edmonds, he bowls, and that's from the edge to Botham, and he's out caught, so the innings has come to an end at last. Very matter-of-fact dismissal that as Hughes pushed forward. The ball took the outside edge of the bat, and the ball caught by Botham at slip. And so Hughes caught Botham, bowled Edmonds for 16. Jones is 183, and Australia 9 for 338. And the Englishman giving Merv Hughes a very generous round of applause. And that's a fine sporting gesture by the members of the England team as Merv Hughes goes off his highest test score. He's out for 16. Dilly bowls to Reed. Bowled him! Yorker knocks the off stump out of the ground. It's all over. Jones is left 184 not out. The perfect delivery to a tail-end batsman. The fast straight Yorker. And the off stump sent cartwheeling back. Reed bowled Dilly 4. and Australia all out 343. And Dean Jones finishes 184, not out, his second Test century and his first against England.
Hughes tries again from the far end of the ground. Athey gets a short ball, and it's caught by Zura. He's out. He's out. He allowed that ball to hit him, and I think it's come off the handle or the glove, and Zura has taken a great catch above his head. There was a thought for a moment that perhaps it had come from his body as he tried to leave the ball alone outside the off stump. It bounced, and it looked as though it could have come from the handle or the glove, and it went high above Zura, who did really well to get up into the clouds and grasp the chance. And Australia at last have an early break against the England openers. Athey out for 5. Reid on his way up, bowls to Gatting forward, hit on the pad, and appeal for LBW, out for LBW. Gatting has a look. I don't think he was too happy with that, and hit him on the front pad, but he was caught on the crease, and it'll be very interesting to see exactly where that ball pitched. Gatting out, LBW to Reid for a duck. He's into Broad. Broad, it could be LBW here. He's out. He let that go. Plum. Oh, Plum LBW. He came back and hit him in line. He didn't offer. Good bowling by Hughes. A misjudgment by Broad. It clearly hit him in line, and there was no option for the umpire there. And all of a sudden, England 3 for 17. Broad, LBW to the bowling of Hughes for 5.
Be a fine test for this young fellow. Taylor pushes it through. Tempted cut, he's out, caught behind. Taylor gets his first test wicket. Lamb cutting, and Taylor is out, caught behind by Zura for 24. And England loses its 4th wicket at 89. So Taylor was the one who came through on top. And the 30-year-old Peter Taylor is absolutely delighted, as are his teammates. Lamb is out for 24.
Peter Steep, right arm leg spin, bowls a looping leg break, and it's powered over mid-on by Gar for another 4, and almost hits the Union Jack, appropriately enough, just under the new Churchill stand there. Clive Churchill, I understand, a great rugby league player, and Gar, having lingered so long on 43, has reached an absolutely brilliant 50. And I think I'm right in saying, Laurel, that he's hit 10 fours in that 50. And I make that 40 out of 50. Well played, Gar. 119 for 4 as Taylor bowls, and he's caught forward short leg. A very good reaction catch by Jeff Marsh. And Taylor, at the age of 30 in his first Test match, has taken 2 prime England wickets. And that is a crucial one. Ian Botham himself caught Marsh, bowled Taylor 16, England 119 for 5, and they are still some way from saving a follow-on.
Taylor over the wicket, right up there, driven and caught by Wellham at cover. Gow's hold out to Wellham at cover. He picked him out. He didn't quite get over that cover drive. He hit it right out of the middle though, and Wellham held on to the hot chance in front of his face at extra cover. That's a great blow for Australia. Taylor picks up his 3rd wicket. Gower out for 72, and it's 6 for 142.
And that roar you heard in the background were the 4 Australian selectors. He's picked up 3 wickets now, this man, who's come into this Test side, unknown to most. And he flighted that ball beautifully, and it's a shame to see an innings like that end, but really was a great innings. It wasn't a century, certainly, but a fine innings indeed. He played all the shots in the book, and Taylor, it was very impressive to see the way he reacted yesterday, I thought, when he picked up his 1st and his 2nd wicket. And now he's got a 3rd. He must be wondering how long this game's been going on.
An interesting problem perhaps for the border, and that one is caught. Richards driving, and Wellham takes the catch at cover. So the breakthrough happens in the 75th over. Richards caught Wellham, bowled Reid, 46. And that is good reward for Bruce Reid, who until that delivery had bowled well today without any luck. Bruce Reid picks up his 2nd wicket. How many runs has he conceded here today? 56, 2 for 56. his figures. Richards makes way for Phil Edmonds, and a vital breakthrough for the Australian. Reid deepish mid-off as Tata bowls. Turn, and he's caught. Beautiful catch by Marsh at short leg off the full face of the bat. And that's the second time Marsh has taken a catch there at short leg off the face of the bat. Edmonds pushing firmly, and a brilliant reflex catch by Jeff Marsh in his midriff. And Edmonds is out, and Peter Taylor has his 4th wicket. Edmonds caught Marsh, bowled Taylor for 3. Embry is 32, and England 8 for 219. And that's brilliant catching by Marsh at forward short leg.
Reid from this member's end. Runs away again. He bowls to the right-handed Embry, and Embry swats him in the air, past square leg. This is his 50, down towards the boundary. I think will only be 2 runs. But a very, very well-deserved 50 for John Embry. It's been a really splendid innings for his side. Small to face Taylor, who moves in, right arm over the wicket, bowls, and Small goes for a big hit and he's bowled. So Peter Taylor in his first test match for Australia at the age of 30, the unknown, has become a 5-wicket taker in his first test innings. What a great performance. And the last such bowler to do that for Australia, the last to take 5 wickets on his first test appearance, was Rodney Hogg in the first test at Brisbane in 1978 against England, when he took 6 for 74. So well done, Taylor.
Third half century in a test. He waits for Taylor and he takes a big drive and he's bowled him. Taylor gets 6 wickets. Embry going for the big slog has been bowled by Taylor, who in his first test has taken 6 wickets for 78. England all out for 275. That gives Australia a lead of 68 runs on the first innings.
In comes Dilley, bowls now to Marsh. Marsh is caught at slip. Very good catch to his left by John Embry. And one has to say that's a wicket that has been thoroughly deserved by Dilley. He's had Marsh in trouble around the off stump throughout this innings, really, and gradually during the series you feel Dilley has begun to get the measure of Marsh in what's been throughout a very interesting duel between the two. And that was a classic bit of bowling. It was a bit shorter, in fact, and Marsh's foot didn't really move across, and Embry held on to a good two-handed catch to his left. So Dilley gets his man, 1 for 17 his figures, and Australia have lost their first second innings wicket with the score at 29. Marsh caught Embry, bowled Dilley 14.
Edmonds. This time Botham's got him. Beautiful catch at slip. Well, it didn't matter. Beautiful catch by Botham, diving to his right. Edmonds getting a bit of spin. Ritchie pushing forward. And Botham diving to his right. Picks the ball up centimetres from the ground. And he takes a splendid catch at slip to put Ritchie on his way.
Edmonds bowls again. Border is back. And he's bowled him. He chopped it onto his stumps. And he's out for 49. So Edmonds wins the battle. Border, frustrated, trying to make a shot really that wasn't on, cutting against the spin, chopped it into his stumps, and Australia 3 for 106.
Yeah, it's very sad for Australia. Alan Border looked in very good form this morning. Obviously had a very positive outlook, but just watching the replay there, Jim, he's hit against the spin. It was pitched just outside off stump and came back enough, and he's hit it onto his stumps.
Embry, the off spinner, right arm over. Jones goes back, tries to cut appeal for a catch behind. He's out. Jones is out. Port Richards bowled Embry for 30, and Australia 4 for 110. The lead 178, 6 wickets in hand, and John Embry has his first wicket in this innings and his first wicket in the match. Good breakthrough for England, Ian Davis.
Yes, a very good breakthrough, and I just had that feeling. I think over the last 20 minutes or so I'd been saying that Jones had become very frustrated, and it wasn't really the right shot for that particular ball. The ball was just far too up, not wide enough of off stump, and he's gone to cut it and got an edge to the keeper.
Embry is now going to bowl to just 3 men on the offside and 6 on the on as he bowls. And Willows off the paddle, bat, and he's caught by Lamb at Silly Point. Smart catch. Cry of catch it. Umpire McConnell had no doubt when he saw that that Lamb had made a clean catch of it. Wellham is disappointed, I feel, but perhaps only in being dismissed for 1. So Wellham is out, caught Lamb, bowled Embry for 1,
War is 1, and Australia now 5 for 115, and the game has certainly taken a dramatic turn, Ian Davis, with 3 quick wickets falling. The wickets of Border, who was bowled by Edmonds for 49 when the score was 106, and then Jones caught behind by Richards of Embry for 30 when the score was 110, and now Wellham caught Lamb, bowled Embry for 1. It's 5 for 115. War is 1, and the new batsman will be Peter Sleep.
Very accurate, Embury, in his element. Forward goes Sleep. He's
Caught this time, bat pad, yes. Tried to drive, edge onto the boot or the pad. It lolloped up there to Lamb at silly point as he tried to drive it. And that's another wicket. 6 for 141. Sleep caught Lamb, bowled Embury for 10.
Well, the England bowlers are really enjoying themselves out there. They've had to do it the hard way, the spinners, Embury and Edmonds, over the, well, for the duration of the series. There hasn't been a great deal in any of the wickets that they've played on, the first match being in Brisbane, then going to Perth and Adelaide and Melbourne. There hasn't been a great deal of turn at all. Here, they're getting turn. It's not very fast coming off the wicket, but at least there's enough there to give them great signs of encouragement.
Taylor and Sleep may not be able to hold on as well as these two skillful operators, Edmonds and Embury, who have bowled, once they've got a taste of it, so well.
He's hit on the pad. That's close. He's out, LBW. He played back to Embury. It's spun and he's hit him in front. And Zura is out, LBW, just before lunch. The 5th wicket of the morning goes. Zura scrambling across his stumps, caught right in front by Embury. LBW for 1, Zura, and Australia 7 for 145.
Garrett mid-on, getting it square leg, and De Freitas at long leg as that one is steered down. There's War's 50. Down the third man. 50 for Stephen Waugh. Finding by the young New South Welshman. Very generous round of applause from this good-sized crowd. Steve Waugh is 50. Peter Taylor 16, 7 for 193. Just waited for that and ran it down off the face of the bat to third man. Well played, Steve Waugh. Here's Small. He bowls to Taylor outside the off-stump. Taylor forces through the offside field. Long chase for De Freitas. Batsman had 2, turn for a third as De Freitas picks up just inside the boundary of cover. And there's the 50 partnership for the 8th wicket. Magnificent fight back by Peter Taylor and Steve Waugh, the New South Welshman.
Embury bowls to Waugh.
Waugh swings at this. He hits it over at his head. No, he's caught. Straight down his throat. Athy waiting for it. Waugh went after it. And Athy, who had dropped back to long on, about 20 metres in from the boundary, really didn't have to move.
Comes Embry again, goes to Taylor, and he's caught, is it? Forward shot point, yes he is. So Taylor is out, equaling his highest first-class score. Embry has taken his 6th wicket. Taylor caught by Lamb, his 3rd catch, incidentally, of John Embry's bowling, for 42. With 1 4 and so many patient singles. A very fine innings indeed. The scoreboard showing the replay and showing also now that the wicket has fallen at 2:48 for 9. So just one more wicket for the wary England bowlers to try to take. Dave, another of those difficult bat-pad decisions.
Well, the England fieldsmen were very confident, and we didn't see Peter Taylor stick around too long, so it must have been a fairly easy one for the umpire to give.
251 on the board. The 250 for Australia coming in 417 minutes, 116.2 overs. That's a card shot that's bowled him. Embry has 7 wickets. Well, he tried to swing that from outside the off-stump away to the onside and pitched and turned back, and John Embry, for the first time in his Test career, takes a 7-wicket haul in an innings, and he has been tossed the ball very sportingly by Jack Richards, I think it was. He said, right, Embers, put that in your pocket. That's one for the mantelpiece, and so it should be. So Australia all out for 251. That is a lead now of 319. So a nice round figure of 320. And well done, John Embry, 7 for 78. Peter Taylor took 6 for 78 in England's first innings. So that's 78 with the magical figures. War out today for 73, the start for Australia. And now John Embry at 7 for 78, leading off the England team. Very generous applause for the off-spinner and vice-captain of the touring party.
On a pitch-taking spin, Australia must have, I would think, a slight favourites chance to win the game. Possibly a real favourites chance. Sleep over the wicket, bowls to Broad, and Broad drives it, and he's caught and bowled. Not quite to the pitch, the ball turning and biting, and Broad hit it fairly firmly, but not firmly enough, and Sleep, following through, took a good two-handed catch. So England have lost their first wicket at 24. Broad, caught and bowled, Sleep 17. Reed in, over the wicket, he bowls to Gar, well pitched up, and Gar bowls! Oh, poor Bruce Reed. Well, only David Gars knows whether he played that shot in response to the call of no ball, but I suspect he was genuinely beaten by a ball of full length. He went to drive. I think he probably got an inside edge, and at any rate the ball shattered the stumps, but Gars seemed to know instantaneously that it was a no ball, so maybe Norman, he had a go at that because he'd heard it.
Now it's Border who continues, and Gower plays with the spin as he
gets the reward for assisting with himself on the far end of the ground. A very important wicket. Gower caught Marsh, bowled Border, his 16th test wicket. It's 2 for 91.
Well, I hope I didn't put the mocker on David Gower by saying that they can't lose quick wickets, but just coming straight in, two of the other broadcasters couldn't pick up a wicket, but I got one straight away for Australia.
Well, here's Sleep coming in from the members' end to bowl to Andrews. Same score of 91. And Athley paid the penalty for sweeping against the spin. England 91 for 3.
Well, that's what I was just talking about. England can't afford to lose a few quick wickets because they're going to put so much pressure on the middle order batting. And just losing those two batsmen, where they looked as though they were going along so well, they were timing themselves. They knew exactly what they had to do, and that was to pick up runs as they presented themselves and just not to lose wickets. But that was a tremendous breakthrough for Australia. England losing two quick ones, both for the score on 91.
Taylor bowls to Lamb. It is taken off the back. Pad is out. Caught. Lamb is out. Caught by Waugh at Silly Point. Umpire McConnell and the Australians had no doubt. And Lamb pushing forward. The ball certainly came off the pad. It may have touched the bat on the way out. But in the first over after lunch, Peter Taylor breaks through. Alan Lamb caught by Stephen Waugh off the bowling of Taylor for 3. Gatting is 8, and England 4 for 102. Lamb out for 3. Taylor has his first wicket at a cost of 22 runs.
Well, there was absolutely no doubt in the minds of the fieldsmen. We can't really give you an honest and genuine opinion on bat and pads, simply because with the replays as they are on both commercial and ABC TV, it's very difficult to line it all up. I'm just having another look at it on the board there, but gee, the elation of the players. Before that ball was even caught, in close by Marsh, we saw the keeper Zura go up high in the air, and Taylor, this miracle man, where they've got him from I'll never know, has picked up yet another wicket. So that was the breakthrough that Australia really needed.
And a fantastic reception, sorry to interrupt you there, Norm, for Ian Botham. From friend and foe alike, I know he's upset Australians in the past, but they've certainly given him a fine sporting reception in what is most likely going to be his last test innings in Australia. And to a man, everyone in this ground stood and welcomed the mighty Both. So a fine tribute to this great cricketer from this very sporting Sydney cricket ground crowd here, Norm. Sorry.
No, quite all right. I was looking at the replay at the time that you mentioned it, and didn't realise what the applause was about. I thought it may have had something to do with the replay, but both of them, if anybody's going to change this game, it's this man who's taking strike at the very present time. He's a very colourful character, a big hitter of the ball, and Border obviously aware of that. And right from the outset, he's got a man a deep long on, looking for the one where Botham will endeavour to go over the top. Now, it'll be interesting to see how long it takes Botham to settle down out there before he starts playing shots. And I think he will. He's got to play his own natural game if he's going to survive. I think if he prods around, he'll get out.
4 for 102 then, England. As Taylor bowls to Botham, he fires it in. It's chipped away. Is he going to be caught by Wellham? He dives forward. He's caught him. He out? Yes, he out. First ball. Wellham takes a splendid catch at mid-wicket. And Botham is out first ball. And Peter Taylor is on a hat-trick. Well, he fired that one in, and it was chipped up by Botham towards mid-wicket. Wellham scurried after it, and he must have only picked the ball up centimetres off the ground. He made what was claimed a fair catch, and umpire McConnell had no doubt. Fine catch, and Ian Botham out first ball. And what a brilliant catch, and Peter Taylor on a hat-trick. What a fairy tale that would be, Norman O'Neill.
He's done everything else but. I suppose we could expect something like that to happen now. Well, what a big breakthrough that was for Australia. Poor Botham walking out there. I'm sure that with the ovation that was given to him was genuine right throughout the ground. I think that people would have liked to have seen him stay out there for a while and make this game really interesting, and he could have changed the situation as it was when he came to the crease. But to see Alan Botham go, I'm sure that the Australians, well, we saw the reaction after that catch was taken by Wellham. They were absolutely delighted, and if they don't win this one, they will never win one.
5 for 233. Warren, he bowls to Gatting. Pitched up, played back. He's out close. Slow ball. It's chipped back by Gatting, and Steve Waugh gets the breakthrough. Gatting is out. Caught and bowled Waugh for 96. And bad luck Mike Gatting that he didn't score a thoroughly deserved century. England 6 for 233. And perhaps now Dave Renneberg, the odds back in Australia's favour. And we'll just wait for the applause for the England skipper, Mike Gatting, who's getting a standing ovation from this crowd of 12,500 people at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
Sleep bowls again. And he's forward. He's bowled it.
Wrong. Straight through. Bowled Richards. Well, I think in a way he paid the penalty there for not trying to get on with it a little bit. He just pushed at the line, played outside the ball, and it was a good ball. It went through and bowled him. And the game perhaps comes to life again in 7 for 257 with Richards, after a long, patient innings, bowled by Sleep for 38.
7 for 257. Edmonds, the new batsman. They're surrounding him as Sleep comes up to bowl, and he allows it to hit him on the pad. A hit on the pad. He's down over the ball toss him on the back pad. Sleep on a hat-trick. Umpire McConnell took a long time, but he's given him out LBW. Edmonds did not offer a shot. He allowed the ball to strike him, and I'm pretty sure it hit him on the back pad, in line. The umpire waited after the appeal. His finger went up, and Edmonds out. First ball, and Australia all of a sudden having a chance of winning the game now at 8 for 257. Sleep wickets from consecutive balls. He bowled Richards, and then he had Edmonds out. LBW padding up to a ball. As we look at this ball tossed up to him, and it pitched in between his feet, in fact, and hit him on the back pad. Well, I don't know whether it would have hit the stumps or not, but the umpire thought it would, Alec, and that's it.
Cross, so 15 balls remain in the Test match. England 8 for 262. Can they hang on and save the game, or can Australia take the last 2 wickets to win the match and make the series result England 2, Australia 1, with 2 matches drawn? Gladstone Small, the man in the hot seat. He's yet to score. Embry 22, 8 for 262. Reed bowls. Small gets an hit, and he's caught by Border. That slipped. We wait on the umpire. Border claims a catch. Umpire Randall gets him out. Score is out. Caught by Border. A low catch.
Small stood his ground. Border claimed fair catch. And umpire Randall raised the finger. England 9 for 262. 14 balls remaining in the match. Small caught Border. Bold Reid for naught. And a lovely low catch taken by the Australian captain. Bruce Reid has a wicket. England 9 for 262. Well, there you are, Dave Renneberg. We have 14 balls to go. Graham Dilley, the last man coming in for England, fielded by Ritchie. So 1 ball to go in the over, and then 1 over.
They might be looking for 1 run here too.
Will he take a risk?
Realising that, has just pushed a few of his close infieldsmen back just to stop Emburey from scoring.
9 for 264. Here's Sleep from the Noble stand end. He goes in and bowls to Emburey. Australia has won the Test match by 45 runs. Make that 55. Australia wins by 55 runs. Peter Sleep takes 5 wickets in the innings, and the last batsman out, John Emburey, got one that skidded through. Elliott was the faster ball.
Well, I don't know, more than it kept low, I think, but nevertheless, it struck me that this is what you had to bowl to Emburey when he's just packing up behind the ball. You want to push one through a bit quicker. That kept a bit low, but nevertheless, it was always on that it should. Once he did that, it was on that he'd get Emburey out.
So the crowd that's remained at the end of this Test match has gone on till 20 minutes past 6 local time. Delighted that Australia has won the Test match. And the man of the match, Peter Taylor, the Benson and Hedges man of the match. Peter Taylor playing in his first Test match. Won't he remember his first Test match coming into a winning side? And the Benson and Hedges man of the series, the England opening batsman, Chris Broad, who scored 3 centuries in the match, and Peter Sleep is leading the Australians off after taking 5 wickets in the innings. So Australia has won by 55 runs in this 5th Test match. The crowd pretty excited. We'll get a quick closing comment from Dave Renneberg before we check details of today's play.
Well, what a great Test match that was. England coming in this morning requiring 280 runs with 9 wickets in hand. And I thought at the start of play that it was anybody's Test match, and that proved so right throughout the game until the last session when Mike Gatting, who was batting so well, lost his wicket, and then England really had no chance of winning, and Australia was the only team who could win.